everybody, if you can take your seats and get going. Thank you for being so patient. We had a little glitch today, but we resolved that. I am your elected moderator, in case anybody have a question about that? No questions, okay. Let's stand and salute the flag, which is over here. As is usual, we're going to conduct this meeting according to the guidelines set up in the main moderator's manual, which is this. So the rule book is here. We have it in case anybody wants to talk about rules. Basically, it's a fairly simple parliamentary procedure. There's nothing exotic that's going to happen about as far as parliamentary procedure is going to. It's fairly standard. Everybody gets to talk. Nobody talks over somebody else. Basically, we're here today to ask questions about these articles, to make comments about it, to encourage people to vote for or against it if that's something you feel like you want to say. But what you're not going to do is attack anybody personally. Okay, there's no place for that. It doesn't result in any more votes. So no personal attacks, just comments, questions, and we'll go on each article then. Okay, everybody should have their voting ticket, which is this. Anybody that doesn't have a voting ticket and is a resident of Acton should see the folks on the table in the back. You should also have 3 smaller pieces of paper, which will allow you to vote on these committee efforts early on in the meeting. Okay, we may have some people who we need to hear from who are not residents of Acton. That requires a 2/3 vote. I'm going to tell you who these people are at this point and ask for consensus on the vote unless somebody has an objection. So Jennifer Rue is our clerk and administrator. Jennifer. Kelly Burgess. Kelly, raise your hand. Is our treasurer. Steve Perillo is the cemetery chair. May, and when we get to that article, May, that's Steve. He's Steve from the back. Okay. Jason 70 is a code officer. Jason is here someplace. Jason, thank you. Also here today is our resident deputy, Sean Sandmore. Sean, raise your hand. Where are you? Okay. Sean's not going to be speaking, but he's here. And then for this point, for opening ceremony here, we're going to recognize Wayne Ham, our fire chief. Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, the board, allowing me some time. Jim, you want to come forward, please? So I'm up here today with Jim. Jim Bond's been a member of our department for 38 years. He's been in the fire service for approximately 42 years. And the last 38 was here in our town, serving our community, dedicated to our community. Earlier this last month, Jim came to me and is retiring from the department. He's going to help out in an honorary status. Any fundraising we do, any community events, he's going to help out there. It's what he likes to do. But active duty response to emergency calls, it's he's taking his time and hanging it up. So I wanted to take a moment to thank Jim for his 38 years of continued and dedicated support to our community. Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations, Jim. I thought you were only 18. 38 years of service.
Anyway, I started when I was 15.
15, okay, we're going to go, unless there's any objections or questions about the procedure, we're going to go start with Article 2, okay? Now, don't forget, at the purple card, when we get to voting, the purple card is it, which is your ticket to vote. Okay, Article 2, to choose 3 members of the Warrant Finance Committee for a 2-year term. Joe Ruma, Joyce Bakshi, and Dennis Long terms have expired. Are there nominations for Warrant Finance Committee? Dennis Long nominated. Are there other nominations for Warrant Finance Committee? Joyce Bakshi.
I'd also like to nominate John Denican.
John Denican. Any other nominations for Warrant Finance Committee? Joe Ruma has been nominated. Other nominations? No other nominations. What do we have, 4 names?
Marguerite Bourgault.
Marguerite Bourgault.
I knew I did, but.
Okay, no other nominations. We're ready to go. So we're looking at the yellow sheet where it says Warrant Finance Committee, 3 members for a 2-year term, which is Article 2. So we want you to put up to 3 names on there. It does not do any good to put the same name more than once. You're not going to get, well, we used to do that. It used to be a benefit to do that. We don't do that anymore. Some judge decided that was not the way to do it. So you don't have to put 3 names if you don't want. You can put 1 or 2 names, but you can put up to 3 names that are listed up here. When you're done, I want you to come up. You need to have your purple card with you. Jennifer needs to see your purple card, so bring it with you. Okay, when we're done voting, we're going to tally this up since we have another alternate member voting in Article 3. So we're going to tally this and announce the result. So once we're done voting, we're on a break.
No, July. Just because kids aren't at school. Nothing yet.
Good. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Nice. Hot sunshiny day. It was all right. It was very wrenching. 3 years. And findings. Stuff that we didn't even know we still had, kind of thing. So we ended up with a part of that driveway to put the rest of the stuff. And that's not that's gonna go.
How
longer than you have. Seems to do all 3 papers in this one.
Is everybody voting? Let's vote.
Yeah, you can come up with
Voting is going to be closed. Jennifer, is that it? Okay, voting is closed on Article 2. We're doing the countdown since we have an alternate. While we're waiting, I want to talk about some of the other articles. We have in this set of warrant articles in a number of places where the selectmen who have proposed an article, their proposal has been rejected by the Warrant Finance Committee. To their credit this year, the Warrant Finance Committee has essentially voted on a motion in their deliberations to accept the article as written, and then they voted against it, either partially or completely. And I know we've had struggles before figuring out, because you can't, in order to deal with the alternative there, you have to end up with a negative motion, which we can't do. In other words, voting yes means no, and no means yes. We're not doing that this year. So when you get to these articles, you're going to see Dennis make a motion to accept the article. Now, your job as voters here is to decide whether you support the selectmen's version or the Warrant Finance Committee's rejection of that. So you're going to vote yes or no.
Joe's name on the ballot.
Okay? And, you know, in prior years, I've had people tell me they're afraid to vote no in a public meeting like this, raise their hand no. It shouldn't be that way. This is your meeting. You get to decide yes or no. And if it's going to be no, then you got to raise your hand and say no. Okay? So that's going to happen, you know, 5 or maybe 6 or 7 times, maybe more today. The motion is going to be to adopt the article, and you're going to see a recommendation from the Warrant Finance Committee not to accept that motion. And then it's up to you to decide what to do. Okay? And there'll be debate. It's not like you're not going to know anything about what happened. You can ask questions based on the answers to the questions or the comments or the advocacy. Vote yes or no. You're going to be able to get some information. But in the end, it's going to be your vote. Yes or no.
And tell them about Mary Grant, we'll do that one over there.
Oh, yes. These folks over here represent the Mary Grant Committee and have kindly showed up with some food today, which they'd be happy to sell you. About 11:15 or 11:30, if we're still going at it, we're going to break for about 15 minutes to enable you to partake of whatever is left over there. But you can certainly participate in their efforts for that.
Right in front of the camera.
So let's talk about the end game today. You'll notice that this warrant, at the end, we're going to recess, and we're going to recess until Tuesday at 8 a.m., at which point the polls are going to be open to elect candidates or elect people for Board of Selectmen and the school committee. So we're not going to adjourn today when it's over. We still have 2 articles to work on. So for those people that are here for part of the day, don't forget about Tuesday. The meeting's not going to end until Tuesday at 8 p.m. when the polls are closed. Any questions about that? Okay.
So somebody turned in their pink one and would still have a yellow in their possession. You only vote for one person if that helps. If you want to come up and show me you still have your yellow one and not your pink, I'll let you swap it out. Otherwise, we're not going to count that one.
Okay, anybody that ended up with a yellow slip, turn the pink one in instead. You can swap it out if you want now. So if you still have a yellow slip in your hand, you're the one. Okay, here's the results. So we have the 5 nominees. We have Dennekamp and Bakshi. Oops. Yes, Dennekamp and Bakshi are the 2 winners, right?
There were 3.
3, okay, 3, and Ruma.
You want to just read the numbers out?
Yes, I can. So Dennis Long, 41, Joyce Bakshi, 55. Dennekamp, who's the first name I don't know. John, okay, 46. Virgil, 39. Ruma, 44. Any questions? Article 2. Article 3. Choose one alternate member of the Warrant Finance Committee for a 2-year term. We're now looking at the pink. Are there nominations for an alternate member for a 2-year term? Marguerite Borgle. Nominated. Yes. She does not want to be elected. Other nominations? Steve Robichaud. Steve Robichaud? I'm sorry. Lee. Gotcha, thank you. Robert Eagle. All right, so we're now looking at the pink one. 1 slot. 2 nominees. Any questions? Any more nominees?
We just have 1 so far.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Marguerite Borgle did not. Okay, I'm sorry. So we have 1. Any other nominees?
Dennis Long.
Dennis Long nominated. Any other nominations? Okay, again, we're at the pink one. You're putting 1 name on the pink sheet, bringing it up along with your card to vote. Don't forget to bring up your purple card with you.
Social anxiety. Seriously. That's what I mean. It was all I could do to get him. Do you have, you're all good.
Has everybody voted that wants to vote? Has everybody voted that wants to vote? Okay, we're closed on voting for Article 3. Thank you. And the results of Article 3, Dennis Wong 36 votes, Lee Robichaud 47 votes. So Lee Robichaud is the new alternate on the Warrant Finance Committee. Robichaud. Okay, Article 4, to choose 2 members of the road Committee for a 3-year term. Are there nominations for the Road Committee?
Chris Moss.
Who?
Chris Moss.
Chris Moss?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Other nominations for the Road Committee? Leslie Berlin. Declining, wait a minute, declining, so Leslie is off that. Other nominations? John Butler. Other nominations for the road committee? Two positions, two nominations. Seeing none, that's it. Now, the third sheet you have is the green one.
What about Jay Ward?
Not been nominated, unless you want to nominate him.
Nominate Jay Moore.
Jay Ward's been nominated. So we have three nominations. Other nominations?
Yeah. Tim Collins.
Collins.
Tim or Tim? Tim Collins. Additional nominations. Okay, you got your green sheet. Two names. One name is okay. What additional? Bill Wozniak.
We're gonna call him Bill W.
Bill W. Is Bill W. here? Here, hi Bill.
I'll accept it.
Okay. Bill W. is on. So we have four nominations. Five. Sorry. Are there additional nominations for road committee?
Do you see it? Do you want to read it one time?
Yes. I can't see it.
Chris Moss, John
Chris
Butler,
Moss here.
John Butler,
John Butler is here. There he is.
Jay Ward,
Jay Ward.
Tim Collins,
Jim Collins.
Bill W.
Bill W. is here. Bill Rayford. Okay, nominations are closed. Up to two names on the green sheet. One name is okay, two names, two separate names are okay.
I'll see when I get home.
Okay. I love the jacket.
Thank you. What's the next one? What do you plan to bring in? Are you gonna surprise her?
It's the other way around.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You look good in the Oh, okay. Very straight. Thank you.
Out the back door. Right? Either that or get lynched.
Yeah, believe me. Yes. Yeah. That's who it was. Yeah.
Really light or just a little bit?
Walk out to
We're done. The voting is closed on Roads Committee. I guess because this is the last of these elections, we're going to go on to the next part. Article 5. Everybody sitting down and quiet. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to conditional use permits as specified below. Unless there's objection, I'm not going to read the zoning article. This particular one goes all the way to the top of the next page. The recommendation is from the Board of Selectmen to approve the article, and the Warrant Finance Committee is to approve the article. Are there questions or comments on Article 5? Dennis?
Mr. Moderator, I make a recommendation to approve Article 5 as written.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded to adopt Article 5 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 5? Planning Board is here, willing to answer your questions? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 5 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your purple card. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 5 is adopted as written. Article 6. See if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to conditional use permits as specified below. And again, unless there's objections, I'm not going to read this. Happy to read it if somebody wants to. I would be happy, but I'll read it if somebody wants to. Okay, and this one goes all the way to the middle of page 2, where you see Article 7 appear there. The recommendation is, Select Board recommends approval of the article. The Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article, but the motion failed. Dennis?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Okay, so as we discussed before, the motion is to approve the article as written. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 6 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 6? Dennis?
My reason for voting no on the solar ordinance is because it's in conflict.
This is not solar. This is Article 6. This is conditional use.
Oh, conditional use. Now I've lost my train of thought.
Okay. We'll let somebody else comment if they want. And here comes Leslie behind you.
Go ahead.
I voted no on this because the new operator will provide a certificate of insurance citing the town of Acton. I don't believe that is necessary for everyone, so there's additional uses that don't require that. And to have that set in stone as law was a deal breaker.
Okay. Other comments or questions on Article 6? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Hands down. Those opposed? Yeah, we're going to count this one. Okay. All right, hang on. Put your hands down.
So you're going to count this side along.
Okay, you need to work with us here, so when it's time to vote, keep your hand up so we can count, okay? So on Article 6, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion? You want to do standing? Okay. Okay, cards down. We're going to do standing vote.
When I
Okay.
point to you, you can sit, stand on this side, it's just easier.
The motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please stand.
Mr. Pearson, you up or down? You're fine. At 13 on my side. How many? 13 and 1.
Okay, everybody sit. All those, so 16, that's 16 and 24. Is that right? 24, 16, 24. Okay, all those opposed to Article 6, please stand up.
You're still all set?
15? I didn't hear the count from the second side.
15.
Thank you. So the motion passes 40 to 34. So Article 6 is adopted as written. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to solar energy systems as specified below. This one goes to the top of page 6. Okay, so several pages. Top of page 6. All of the stuff in between is what we're voting on. Select Board recommends approval of the article as written. Warrant Finance Committee approval of the article as written, and the motion failed. So this is another one of those yes, no votes. Dennis?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the article as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 7?
This is the one, Mr. Matt.
Okay.
That was in the
Go, Dennis.
conflict with the good neighbor ordinance.
Okay. Can everybody hear this mic up here? Okay, so we need to get closer. Raise it up a little bit. Okay, go, Dennis.
This ordinance is in conflict with the good neighbor ordinance. And that's why I voted against it.
Other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Mike McCrum, I was just wondering why the Finance Committee, did not want this to pass, did not want it.
Okay. You've heard one reason. There may be others. Other finance committees want to comment on this?
Or does the CEO have some backup on this to convince me that maybe this is a good idea or not a good idea?
Okay. I think we're about to hear from the CEO. He's behind Dennis. Dennis, hang on.
I'd actually like to know why it conflicts with the good neighbor policy, because I reviewed the good neighbor policy and didn't think it does conflict with it whatsoever. So I would like an explanation if that's possible.
Okay, so you're not the CEO.
I am the CEO.
You see, okay.
So, I reviewed the good neighbor policy and it doesn't conflict with it, in my opinion. It's in my opinion. So I'd like to know why, because there's some confusion here, because that's why they shot it down, or they voted no on it.
Okay, there are other comments or questions on Article 7. Go.
Yes, I'm Gavin Maloney, I'm on the planning board, and we've been working on this for a few years now. We had that last town meeting, and we've made quite a few changes that the town meeting asked for since then. And yes, I have the same question as Jason, the CEO, because we're not sure how it does conflict with the good neighbor policy.
Gavin, could you raise that mic up? I know
Absolutely.
Let's get it up a little bit. That's good. Thank you. All right, other questions or comments? Leslie, did you want to comment on this? Okay. Dennis?
I recall at our meeting, Leslie read a part out of the good neighbor ordinance. And if I recall, part of it was the view of the solar is a conflict. You can't have the view in the good neighbor ordinance. You can't have any sight from the water or from the road or things like that in the good neighbor ordinance. The view restriction.
Other comments or questions? Gavin, there's somebody, there's somebody behind you too, Gavin. When he's ready. Leslie, you're up.
And the reason the view is important is it's unenforceable. The project on H Road was supposed to have arborvitaes planted, so if you wouldn't be able to see it, you can still see it. So that particular, it's unenforceable.
So is it enforceable or is it not in the ordinance? Which one is it? It's not enforceable or it's not in the ordinance? In conflict. Conflict with the ordinance.
Speaking out of order.
Jason, you want to say something?
Well, so the solar farm on Nature Road did follow the revegetation plan. I actually questioned it because I felt the same way. If you actually take a trip down that road, you'll see arborvitaes. They're small. You gotta wait for them to grow.
Additional comments or questions? Yeah.
I just want to say I've got the ordinance here if the Warrant Finance Committee wanted to point out the specific verbiage that they're referring to. In terms of visibility from the lakes, we took that clause out because it was objected to last year. We felt like it was too stringent to say that these things could not be visible from the lakes at any time, you know, leaves on, leaves off, that kind of stuff. So we struck that right from this particular piece of verbiage.
Additional comments or questions? Charlie, you up? Questions or comments on Article 7? Motion is to adopt the article as written.
I'm probably the only person on Warren Finance that was in favor of this. I see the issue about visibility as a non-issue because the very topography in this town, it would be almost impossible to build anything anywhere if it couldn't be visible from somewhere else.
Additional comments or questions on Article 7? Gavin, you have more to say? No?
No, unless there's other questions, specific questions.
Other comments or questions on Article 7? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your purple cards. Keep your hands down. Those opposed? Looks like Article 7 passes as written. Article 8, which starts on page 6. To see if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to mineral extractive industry as specified below. This one goes to page 10. The recommendation, the Board of Selectmen recommends approval of the article as written. Warrant Finance Committee approve the articles written and the motion fails. Dennis, make a motion.
Make a motion, Article 10.
Article, no, Article 8. 8, yes.
Article 8.
Be approved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that Article 8 be approved as written. Other comments or questions on Article 8?
Mr. Moderator, my reason for voting against this ordinance is the Warrant Finance Committee asked for information regarding this ordinance. It was changed on April 6th at the planning board meeting, and we never received that information. And to explain a little bit about some of these 06 votes, the night we made our recommendations, I had invited the departments to come for any last minute explanations, and we had nobody show up. So there was information that we kind of wanted, we weren't able to get, and that's why I voted against it.
Additional comments or questions on Article 8? Leslie, I assume you want to talk about it?
Yes. I voted no on this because in there is a clause.
Leslie, get the mic down. So, yeah, here you go. Okay.
I voted no because in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, they want to bring in companies that have existing permits for review. Once a permit is issued, and you can't change their conditions. So that's why I voted no. That a permit is a permit.
Additional comments or questions? Tom?
Yes, with regard to department heads not appearing, the week prior, I had asked the Warrant Finance Committee to prepare a list of questions, which they did, which I responded to in writing, and I attended that meeting as well. So the selectmen felt as though everything had been responded to.
Additional comments or questions on Article 8? Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to state that this ordinance is not retroactive. Mineral extractions that already have a conditional use permit are not required to come before us just because of this verbiage.
Additional comments or questions? Leslie?
Mr. Moderator, the language in an ordinance should be clear and concise. It appears that they're being told that they must come in for a review. It's not, if it's not in their conditions, it can't be, they can't be required to do it. So this is really basically unenforceable.
Gavin, go ahead.
Leslie, if you could point to the verbiage in this ordinance that you're referring to, then it would be easier to address it.
I don't see it exactly in here right offhand, but it's where you, it talks about existing permits and they need to come in and talk to the CEO. I'm looking for it. Oh, existing operations, the very last, it's number 4, right above where the select board and Warren Finance recommends. So, such existing approved operations will schedule within 1 year of the effective date of this ordinance. So you're requiring them to come in when it's not in their original conditional use permit.
Additional comments or questions? Gavin, go.
Yes, I'd like to respond. So yes, we are requiring them to come back in, but we're not requiring them to change their conditional use permits.
Exactly what Gavin just touched on. This is not touching their conditions. I'm allowed, as a CEO, to do inspections. We're trying to put everybody on a revolving schedule of inspections. This has nothing to do with changing the amount of minerals they're allowed to take, when they're supposed to operate. All that stuff is staying the same. This is just getting everybody on some kind of schedule, instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to show up next week.
Additional comments or questions? Charlie? Article 8, the motion is to adopt the articles read.
Regarding Dennis's comment about information not being provided for town department heads not coming in, I have to agree with them. This was rushed at the end, and so the board, the Warren Finance, was really left with, I can only speak for myself, but it would appear that they were left with only the option of rejecting it because of the fact that insufficient information was provided to the committee. On the matter of whether or not the article should pass, I happen to agree with Gavin and also Jason regarding the language. I don't see anything in here that would actually inhibit current permittees from continuing their operations as permitted. It would just be a requirement for them to review it.
Hey, Tom, let's go with Mrs. Hart first. She hasn't spoken.
We have a lot of.
You guys pull that mic down a little bit, okay? Just the upper part. Tip it down, tip it down. There you go. That's good.
We have a lot of truck traffic in town, and these trucks, the impact they're making on the roads is terrific. I think you've all noticed it. So whatever decreases that amount of traffic is what I would be for. And also taking a hard look at monetizing it in some way. The gravel that goes out of here is a non-renewable resource. It's also a problem, I believe, up above the end of Great East Lake. I'm sure they'll be looking at it. We have many pits there and terrific truck traffic off of the both Acton Ridge Road and the H Road. So I'm hoping this will help us in that direction, or at least get us some money back for what we're losing here.
Additional comments or questions? Tom?
Yes, just to clarify, we sought legal opinion as to whether or not this ordinance would have any impact on any existing permits. It will not. It's been confirmed by the town's council.
Additional comments or questions? Leslie? Article 8.
Yes, Mr. Ryder, in response to what Tom just said, an attorney's opinion is just that, it's an opinion. The only thing that really matters is case law, where a judge rules. So, I mean, you can go to 5 different attorneys and 5 different opinions.
Additional comments or questions on Article 8? Gavin, you have Charlie, the lady behind you is not spoken yet, so let's let her go. Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion to move the question?
Moved, and is there a second? Second. And this is a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of ending debate, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Okay, debate is over, we're gonna vote. Motion on Article 8 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Hands down, those opposed. Clearly, Article 8 is, the motion on Article 8 is adopted, so it passes as written. Article 9, to see if the town will authorize the select board to appropriate and expend monies from the unassigned fund balance for the purchase of equipment or to use as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occurred during fiscal year 2023-24. Expenditures in excess of $500 shall require advice and recommendation of the Warrant and Finance Committee, and there's a maximum expenditure of $15,000. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant and Finance Committee also approval of the articles written. Dennis?
Motion to approve the articles written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 9 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 9? Seeing none, the motion on Article 9 is to adopt the articles written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you, hands down. Those opposed? Article 9 is adopted as written. Article 10. Situation.
So we counted twice and we were tied for second. So Mr. Ward received 38 votes. He was the first one in, but he was tied for second. And we hand counted the second time. People came out the same. So Bill W. and Mr. Butler both received the
So
same.
we should probably vote for Article 9, right? Okay. So everybody understand what's happening? So the road committee is a tie among two people for the second position. Counted twice. So I think unless somebody has a better notion, we don't have any little slips left, so we have slips. So we're going to be in the process of passing slips out. So you're going to, one day, and the two ties are, well, first of all, let's deal with the who won. Okay, so the winner is Jay Ward with 38 votes. Moss with 23, Butler with 35, Collins 22, Bill W. with 35. So it's Butler and Bill W. for the second position. Okay? So we are going to pass out ballots, and I think we're just going to go on. Vote for one, either
John or Bill. John Butler, Bill W. Right, John or Bill.
Any questions about that? So this is for the second position on the road committee. We're going to revote it.
Let's see a card on the ballot. Right on that.
Article 9, you're all set. Okay, Article 10. Yeah, I just want to check and make sure. Did we vote Article 9?
No.
Yes. Okay, all right. Getting very confused. Article 10. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to dispose of surplus town-owned equipment, with the exception of road equipment, having value of less than or equal to $500, on such terms and conditions as they deem advisable, and to execute any necessary documents to accomplish said purpose. All equipment having a value of more than $500 shall be put out to public bid. Funds received from such sale shall be placed in the unassigned fund balance. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant and Finance Committee also recommends approval of the article. Is there a motion on Article 10?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 10 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 10? Charlie?
Two-part question. Who determines the value of the property and by what standard?
There's a question about who determines value, and can anybody answer the question? I'm looking at the selectmen do, apparently, is the answer, Charlie.
And by what standard?
By what standard?
Well, whatever the department heads come to us and tell us what they think, we'll look it up, look online, whatever.
So you might get
Okay,
it.
did everybody hear that? Okay, let's try again, David.
Yeah, haven't had this issue yet, but if the issue comes up, obviously the select board is going to have to make the decision on whether or not the value. So when we do a due diligence and obviously look at all along, figure out whether or not we're within that $500.
Other questions or comments on Article 10? Yeah, question? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So, say you wanted to...
Come closer to the mic, gotta get...
Say the vehicle, whatever, was assessed by, was more than 500, then it went to auction, it was less than 500, what happened?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's what happens when you put things out to bid. You could always put a bottom number on it. You couldn't do a reserve on it, but...
It still stays at auction.
Yeah.
Additional questions or comments on Article 10? Being done, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 10 is adopted as written. Okay, let's pause here. Make sure everybody has voted that wants to vote on the tie second position for the road committee. So everybody voted that wants to vote on the road committee second position. Where you vote? Okay, the box is still coming around for voting on this tie vote for road committee.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, you don't have anything.
Last call for a vote on the tie vote for road committee. Everybody voted that wants to vote. Okay, we'll keep going. We're going to count this one. I'm sorry, close up here. Thank you. Additional comments? No, we're looking for a new article here. Article 11. See if the town will authorize the select board to sell any tax-acquired property and to issue a quitclaim deed to the court saying, to put funds received for sales into a municipal undesignated fund. Sale to be by sealed bids or public auction, if to other than the owner or record at the time of the foreclosure. And no select person during the term of his or her office may acquire from the town any interest in real estate acquired by the town on account of non-paying of taxes, unless the owner of record at the time of the foreclosure was a select person or the son, daughter, spouse, or parent of the select person, except that municipal officer shall use special sales process required by 36 MRSA Section 943C for qualifying homestead property if they choose to sell it to anyone other than the former owner. To further, see if the town will vote to authorize the select board upon request of the treasurer to allow the treasurer to waive foreclosure of a tax lien on a specified property for a specified year with reference to the tax lien certificate reported in the York County Registry of Deeds. In circumstances where the select board determined that the foreclosure may encumber the town, a list of waived foreclosures shall be listed in the annual town report by map and lot number. Select board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article written on a 2-3-1 vote, which means the motion failed. Dennis, what's the motion on Article 11?
Make a motion to approve Article 11 as written.
It's moved and second to approve Article 11 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 11? Leslie first, and then we'll get.
I voted against this because I had a problem with the town putting the excess funds into the undesignated fund and keeping the money. 1 or 2 weeks ago, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling stating that that's considered a taking and it is not permissible. I did send that information to the selectmen and to all of Warrant and Finance. So there was a recent court ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court, and we can't do that.
Other questions or comments? Over here first, yes.
Yeah, Mike McCrum. Just in the third line there, it talks about selling the properties through sealed bids or public auctions. To me, that's vague. It should be one or the other, and I'm just wondering why are both listed?
Okay, additional comments or questions? Joyce?
Yeah, I voted in favor of this because I do understand that the Supreme Court of the United States has just put a ruling out that would say the opposite of this, but the state of Maine has not. The state of Maine allows this to happen, and unless there's a challenge, we have to go by the state of Maine. That's where we live. Thank you.
Additional comments or questions? No, you. Charlie, you're up.
Regarding this, I have to agree with Leslie. Although the ruling came down at the end of April, not just the last few weeks, making this whole article basically unconstitutional. The fact whether or not Maine has ruled on it yet, the Maine Judicial Supreme Court, really is insignificant because federal rule will dictate all this.
Other questions or comments on Article 11? Tom?
It's true, the Supreme Court has ruled against that. However, the state of Maine has been debating this particular issue for some time now and has still not been able to come to a conclusion. In all likelihood, this will be settled again in the courts, but the article before you is in complete agreement with current state law.
Additional comments? Paul?
This article is a combination of two cookie-cutter articles that have existed for ages, perhaps with minor alterations, and they've always passed. It to me sort of ties into some of the underlying elements of the function of the town, and my question is, should this motion fail, what does that mean for the operation of the town in terms of hand tying or what have you? Thank you.
Can anyone answer the question about what does this mean if this were to fail?
Honestly, we have so few foreclosures in 19 years I've been with the town of Acton. We have actually foreclosed completely to the end and still own the property twice. So I think if it fails, we're going to deal with it as it comes. It's the select board over the years, and the current board is always the intent to get the property back to the property. We don't want to own it. So we do a right to redemption period, we do everything we can. So there are few and far between. One of the things that you notice in this article is that statute is listed. That statute protects the 65 and over, and it talks about where excess funds would go. So it's similar to what happened at the higher court. So this is a legal article. It doesn't pass, we'll deal with it when we get forward.
Tom, additional comments?
Yes, I suspect we would seek legal counsel's opinion in the extent to which this were to come up, and we haven't yet resolved it, or the state of Maine has not yet resolved it. So I'm sure we'll seek counsel opinion if and when this comes up.
Additional comments or questions on Article 11? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the articles written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Hands down. Those opposed? Clearly, Article 11 is passed as written. Article 12. See if the town will vote to have real estate and personal property taxes first payment come due on October 17, 2023. And the second payment on April 17, 2024. Interest to be charged at 4% on all taxes paid after October 17, 2023 and April 17, 2024. And interest on evaded taxes to be paid by the town at 4% pursuant to 36 MRSA Section 506A, and to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes before the tax commitment with no interest. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee the same approval of the articles written. Dennis, Article 12.
I make a motion to approve Article 12 as written.
Second. Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 12 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 12? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 12 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 12 is approved as written. Let's take a break and deal with this tie vote. So Bill W. gets 46 votes, John B. gets 31 votes. So Bill W., you are now on the road committee. Bill W., you don't have, we're not going to take any questions from Bill W. You're on. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to make application for and execute any document. What's that?
Waive the reading.
Waive the reading. Anybody object to that? Okay, so Article 13, the select board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee recommends the same, approval of the articles written. Is there a motion on Article 13?
Make a motion to approve Article 13 is read.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 13 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 13? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 13 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down, those opposed. Article 13 is adopted as written. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to carry forward the following fund balances and allow balance carried forward to be appropriated to the designated department for the ensuing year. And the first one is the APAT Capital Equipment Fund. I think that has to do with the Act of Public Access, in case anybody doesn't know. Cemetery Committee Funds, Earned Paid Leave Fund, West Shore Drive Bridge and Culvert Capital Improvement Fund, FEMA Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund, Forestry and Conservation Committee Fund, Forestry Reserve Fund, LRAP Fund, which is the Local Road Assistance Program, which are restricted state funds, and then the Revaluation Fund. And to carry forward but not appropriate, unless appropriated in other articles, the following fund balance. Ambulance Reserve Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Dams Capital Improvement Fund, Fire Department Capital Vehicle Fund, Recreation Capital Improvement Fund, American Rescue Plan Act funds. All other unexpended fund balances and revenue to lapse into the undesignated fund balance. Lapse school balances to be designated for school funding only. And then there's a, for information purposes only, paragraph there that talks about the various funds. Select Board recommends approval of the article as written. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the article as written. Dennis.
Make a motion to approve Article 14 is written.
Moved and seconded to adopt Article 14 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 14? Yes, ma'am. Dennis, or somebody behind you?
So last year, I thought that we had voted for it to be year to year that the recreational fund will be continued to be put into our own fund as carryover every year thereafter. And this is signifying that it's going to be appropriated in the unassigned fund balance, not into our own fund.
No, when you get to your warrant article, you'll see that the remainder of the does not use will go into the same account.
Okay, so it will go in.
Yeah, if you go to the end and look at the article. Okay.
So by approving this one, it's not saying that we're not getting our rollover.
No, this rolls over.
Okay.
Additional questions or comments on Article 14? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 14 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 14 is adopted as written. Article 15. See if the town will vote to appropriate fiscal year 2023-24 anticipated municipal revenue from the categories listed below, and to use funds from the municipal unassigned fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation during the tax commitment. And these categories are excise tax, interest and penalties, plumbing and building permits, tree growth reimbursement, town animal fees, victualler's license, vital records, agent's fees, investment earnings, ambulance service fees, recycling returns, and miscellaneous non-restricted state revenue not previously appropriated in other articles. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee recommends the same. Dennis.
I make a motion to approve Article 15
As written.
as written.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 15 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 15? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 15 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 15 is adopted as written. Article 16. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $960,753 for wages, operational expenses, and employer costs of general government and health and welfare. And it's broken down to wages and taxes at $461,600, benefits $194,770, operational expenses $306,617, health and welfare $2,066. And that is part of the article, those numbers. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee approval of the articles written on a 5-1 vote. Is there a motion on Article 16?
I make a motion to approve Article 16 is written.
Then moved and seconded to approve Article 16 is written. Are there questions or comments on Article 16? Charlie?
Article 16 says benefits for all employees with the exception of the fire department. Yet if you go to Article 27, later on in this warrant, it also includes benefits, also town employees, at the transfer station. So obviously, we're off by $36,000 in this article.
No,
Because it does not include all employees.
It should say except fire and rescue and transfer station.
That's not what the article says.
You want to make an amendment, Charlie?
No.
Okay. Question? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, Susan. My question is, I cannot see it in here. Is there a raise that everybody's getting?
Question, is there, the raises in here is the question.
Right.
Anyone answer the question?
There is a 5% raise that was put on all employees.
All across the board. Now, last year, didn't you get 7.5% raise? The year before, you got 5%.
No, it was less.
For the COVID, you know, everything was going up and down with the
Right.
cost of living and all that, so we're trying to keep up with it.
But it's not merit raises, it's across the board. 5% last year, 7.5%, and the year before, 3.5%.
Other questions or comments on Article 16?
Mr. Monroe, sorry, Tom. Yeah, just to remind everyone, I think for last year, the inflation rate was in excess of 8%, and for this past year, it was greater than 7%. So the rate of increase is below what the general rate of inflation is that everyone is experiencing.
Questions or comments? Bob?
I just have a comment about.
Get close to the mic, Bob.
I just have a comment about this article, is that in past years, not last year, but in past years, this has been broken down, it didn't just give lump sums. I mean, $1 million or almost $1 million, seems like a lot of money to me. I think that the town people should see how it's broken down as to what it's actually going towards, instead of just a big lump sum.
It's in the packet.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on Article 16? Tom?
I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay.
Where it says benefit for all employees except fire and rescue to amend except fire and rescue and transfer station.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. I heard a second from somebody. Who's the second? Okay. To amend Article 16 to add the words after except fire and rescue, and it should read except fire and rescue and transfer station.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to, so what we're going to do is have a discussion now on the amendment. We're going to vote on the amendment, then we're going to vote on the amended article if it passes. Okay, yes, sir. Questions or comments on the amendment? Proposed amendment? Okay, seeing none. So the proposal is to amend Article 16 to add the words after fire and rescue and transfer station. All those in favor of that amendment, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Okay, the Article 16 is amended to add the words and transfer station. Boy, I guess it would be the right word. Okay, so now we have an amended motion, or amended article. The motion is to adopt the article now as amended. Are there questions or comments on the proposed article as amended. Jim, are you leaving or coming up? I guess he's not. Okay. No questions or comments. The motion is to adopt Article 16 as amended. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 16 is passed as amended. Article 17. See if the town will vote to appropriate $10,000 from the unassigned fund balance to be placed in the town hall parking lot capital reserve account. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. The Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the articles written on a 5-to-1 vote. Dennis, what's the motion?
Motion to approve Article 17 is written.
Second that. So moved and second to approve Article 17 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 17? Yes, sir. Nancy's coming up. Nancy, you're first, and then you come in.
We've been appropriating money into this account for a few years. I wonder if there's a current balance in it, and if there is a plan as to what we're going to do with that parking lot.
Question on balance and
Before this article, there's $75,000 in the parking lot reserve account. The $10,000 is really to engage an engineer before we do any work there to understand how best to address what is a challenging landscape for the parking lot. So it's to bring in a professional engineer to do that work so that then the selectmen can go about, based on those recommendations, assuming there's sufficient funds, to engage a contractor to do the work.
yes.
To that, we just got an evaluation on that building, and now that we know what, what it's all about, we're trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna do with the building. So by putting this forward, having an engineer come out and pretty much tell us what we're allowed to do, our best options, and this is what this money's for.
Other questions or comments on Article 17? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 17 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 17 passes as written. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $912,607 for wages and operating expenses of the Fire Rescue Department. Wages and taxes at $623,990, benefits at $135,287, operational expenses at $153,330. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee agrees approval of the article. Dennis.
Make a motion to approve Article 18 is written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 18 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 18? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 18 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 18 is approved as written. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to approve $7,000 from the unassigned fund balance to purchase a new telephone system for the fire department. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee the same, approval of the article. Is there a motion, Dennis?
I made a motion to approve Article 19 is written.
Moved and seconded to adopt Article 19 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 19? Chief, this is your chance. You don't want to comment? Oh, okay, all right. I knew I should. I didn't step into this. Okay, are there other questions or comments on Article 19? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 19 as written. Those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 19 is approved as written. Article 20. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $136,204 for public safety to be expended as follows. Streetlights, $2,280. Animal control, $21,018. Communications, $36,579. Emergency management, $4,355. Contract deputy services, $71,972. Selectmen recommend approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the articles written. Is there a motion? Dennis?
I made a motion to approve Article 20 is written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 20 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 20?
I just, for the contract deputy service, we have a contract that runs out in December. Whether or not we continue with the contract or not hasn't been decided. And budgeted for a full year, rather than 6 months for the salary. This is not the big.
Other comments or questions on Article 20? Yes, sir.
Do these numbers reflect, can you state whether the numbers?
You need to come up and talk to us this way, sorry. It's just so everybody can hear.
Just as sake of information for the people here, when you state the numbers on these particular ones, can you make a statement as to whether it represents an increase, no change from the prior year?
Okay, I can't do that, but perhaps the Warren Finance Committee of the Selectmen can. So we'll now talk about Article 20. The question is, are these in
The electricity went up, animal control got the same 5% increase, communication towers had a small increase, emergency management got a 5% increase.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator, we cannot hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Street lights went up, as CMP electricity went up. Animal control got the same 5% salary increase. The communication towers had a slight increase. Emergency management, which includes the director, also got 5%. And the contract deputy is new 59s and half is split with Chapel.
Additional comments or questions on Article 20? Yes, ma'am.
Y'all got this in your packet. It's a proposed budget, and it'll give you your increases and decreases. Is that correct?
Yes, that last year's.
Additional comments or questions on Article 20? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 20 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, your cards. Make your hands down, those opposed. Article 20 is passed as written. Article 21. See if the town will vote to pay wages and equipment for regular and maintenance of public ways according to the following schedule.
Wait to read it.
Unless somebody objects, we're just not going to read the whole list. No objections? Okay. And then some comments at the end. In the event that a road commissioner is the operator of the equipment, the deduction of $33.71 will be taken from the equipment rates listed above. Town will furnish cutting edges and bolts for equipment and used exclusively for winter maintenance on town of Acton roads. And then there's a paragraph here, which is also part of the article. It talks about price of fuel. Any of these things are open for questions. Select Board recommends approval of the article as written. Warren Finance Committee recommends approval of the article as written on a 4-2 vote. Is there a motion on Article 21?
I make a motion to approve Article 21 as written.
Been moved and seconded to approve Article 21 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 21? Nancy?
The paragraph in the event that the road commissioner is the operator of the equipment, et cetera, I believe that's a change from past years. And could someone speak to that? Is that assuming that the road commissioner is the owner of the equipment?
I guess I can speak to this. So it's been a couple of years now since we've gone over to subcontracting all the equipment. So now the equipment's being rented to us or whatever, is the operator's included into that. But the road commissioners are actually being paid a salary from the town of Acton. So what we do is exclude their wage out of that piece of equipment. Because it's already included. There's already a rate included in there, but they get a different rate. Is that clear?
More questions, Nancy?
So, let me see. Okay, so the labor on the equipment, our road commissioners are more or less independent operators because none of their employees are town employees anymore. Is that correct?
The road commissioner is the only ones that get an actual wage from the town of Acton. All the other wages are already included in the equipment. So if you go look down through and see, say excavator 40,000 pounds, 141.66, the operator's already included that, so we have to be able to deduct them out because they're getting paid differently than everybody else.
Okay, that I understand, thank you.
I confused myself the first time, so I don't blame you.
Now, has there been any thought about just putting the road work out to bid, maybe under the supervision of the road commissioners, since they know what should be done, especially for maintenance?
That'd be a very costly adventure, I believe, for the town of Acton. You started doing that, because now you're gonna be at the will of contractors like myself on the outside. We're able to dictate roughly what these guys are making on their equipment, you know, to a certain point. When you go to that scale, now you're at the mercy of everybody on the outside. I think it'd be a very costly adventure if we did that, you know. So I think right now the system that we're working right now works. I'm sure there could be some tweaking, but it works fine. I think it is right now.
Additional questions or comments on Article 21?
Just so everybody's aware, the Board of Selectmen figured in a 5% pay increase in the portion of the rates that's based for employees. Some of the equipment went up $6 an hour this year. Last year, it basically all went up $5 an hour. Just so people know what's been going on. You guys are the ones paying the bill.
Additional comments or questions on Article 21?
I got a comment for that.
Yeah.
So so everybody's clear here, what we had done is, you know, due to the fuel costs and everything for the last couple of years, what we were doing was we were paying, after $4 a gallon, we were paying so much. Every 25 cents, we were giving an extra $2, okay? So what we did is we asked the road commissioners, you know, instead of doing that fuel clause, that's only supposed to be for emergencies, but it happened to be full-time because right after town meeting, everything went crazy. So we decided budget in, you know, what you were pretty much making on your fuel. That way there we can change up the fuel, what do you call that? The fuel charge, okay? So plus we did a 5%. We figured, I think it was like 2.5 or something like that % for increases for the people running the equipment. We were no different than any other laborer or operator. So that's what we came up with.
Additional comments or questions on Article 21?
That was 5%, not 2.5.
Yeah, but what we did is we didn't give them a full 5% on the equipment side. That we figured, the road commissioners figured for fuel cost. They did their fuel cost. So we can change the fuel surcharge. If you look down at the fuel surcharge now says $5 per gallon instead of $4. That's why we gave part of the raise, and then the rest of it was for the operators and laborers, drivers, or whatever. The workers.
Additional comments or questions on Article 21?
I was still correct in what I said about the rails.
Okay. Comments or questions on Article 21? Although the motion on Article 21 is to adopt the articles written, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 21 is adopted as written. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $361,863 to appropriate $26,054 from the state LRAP funds for District 1 Road Department. Said funds will be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the select board to be expended as follows. Summer maintenance, $137,917. Paving and reconstruction, $250,000. Select board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the articles written. Is there a motion on Article 22?
Make a motion to approve Article 22 is written.
Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 22 as written. comments or questions on Article 22? Mary?
No, are any road commissioners here?
Yes.
I was wondering if they're ever gonna fix the gullies, especially along County Road where I live, but, because I see a lot of gullies, and it's been there for a long time. So, I think it was like May 5th when everything was washed out, something like that.
Adam, question on the gullies.
We're planning on doing a bunch of ditch work and culvert replacements down the bottom of the gullies like you're speaking of. I'm just waiting to get through town meeting, get my funds back in, and I get down there this summer, I'm gonna do a lot of work. We're not gonna finish paving, we're gonna pave the top half of it, finish that up, but we won't have enough money to finish paving, it's on the to-do list of next year.
Additional comments or questions on Article 22? Being none, the motion is to adopt Article 22 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 22 is adopted as written. Article 23. See the town vote to raise and appropriate $366,863 to appropriate $26,054 from the LRAP funds for the District 2 road department. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the select board to be expended as follows: $137,917 for summer maintenance, $5,000 for flat ground road, $250,000 for paving and reconstruction. The select board recommends approval of the article as written, same with the warrant finance committee. Dennis, is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve Article 23 as written.
Is there a second? So moved and seconded to adopt Article 23 as written. Questions or comments on Article 23?
Just a statement, Mr.
Okay.
Moderator. The same as the last warrant article we just voted on. This is a $20,000 increase this year. It was a $20,000 increase last year.
Additional comments or questions on Article 23?
I was just wondering when Adam was planning on doing the spring rating.
Okay, here he comes. Adam. Flat Ground Road, spring, what was it? Spring raking?
Grading.
Grading.
I was waiting until after September meeting because all the washouts we had, my funds got depleted so quickly, so to schedule the grading company to come over, they do a couple roads for us, so I'm trying to schedule it all at one time. So as soon as July 1st, I'm going to be scheduled, right after 4th of July.
Additional comments or questions on Article 23? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt, additional questions.
I'm just wondering why we waited so long.
And we're getting close here to give Adam a chance to explain.
Just do the funds, that's what it comes down to, for my funds and maintaining the washouts. I mean, they're depleted a few months ago, a month or so ago, and I was planning on getting it done after the rain, but my funding just got going pretty quick.
Okay, we're not going to get into the
No,
debate here.
there's over $3,000 in the black ground fund, so I don't know why we're going to wait till July.
Okay, perfect. So, Leslie, you have something more to say?
I just want to point out that there's $5,000 in playground designated for that, so.
Okay.
I'm not sure you're wrong.
Additional comments or questions on Article 23? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 23 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 23 is adopted as written. Article 24. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $409,747 for the District 1 and District 2 winter maintenance and sand salt stockpile. And there's an equal amount, $126,811 for each district, and $156,125 for the salt and sand pile. Select Board recommends approval. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval. Dennis, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 24 as written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 24 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 24?
As the people will see that the selectmen added the sand soft pile into this account this year. And I also believe that they increased District 1 and District 2 each by $30,000 this year.
Additional comments or questions on Article 24? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 24 as written. Please raise your cards if you're in favor of the motion. Take your hands down, those opposed. Article 24 is adopted as written. We're going to take a break right now for 15 minutes. Article 26. Mr. Rhodes, hang on, we're not. We don't want to leave yet. Commissioners are the first to stand up. Sit down.
If we do this, if we're waiting
We're finishing the road stuff. I'm sorry. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to establish a... Oops. Okay. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $21,038 for the Public Works Building and Grounds. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant and Finance Committee recommends approval of the articles written, but the motion failed. Dennis, what's your motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 25 as written.
So moved and seconded to adopt Article 25 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 25? Mary?
What is this for Public Works Building Grounds? What is it for?
Dennis, do you know? Oh, here comes the roll. Adam's got a breakdown.
Part of this money is for cutting edges, the electricity of the building.
Adam, get closer so they can hear you.
Electricity.
Right on top of the mic a little bit. There you go.
Just maintenance and stuff of the building. We were planning on trying to get some regular other maintenance done on the building. Planning on doing some painting, some sandblasting down there, cleaning up stuff. We're hoping to get some electricity in the back of the building, the storage building. So if this winter we have issues, we have more power. Sometimes we plug trucks in for the block heaters and trips the 15 amp breaker we got inside the building. We have 2 outlets, that's it. So we're trying to upgrade so it makes our life easier in the winter. We're keeping everything running.
Additional comments or questions?
One of the reasons that the Warren Finance voted against this was in that 21,000 was 7,000 for electricity in the storage building. And they already have electricity in the sand shed. And if they need to add electricity or bigger breakers, whatever, to the existing power system they already have, that'd be a lot cheaper than $7,000.
Additional comments or questions on Article 25?
I'd like to comment on that. So the building that they're talking about is the blue building out back in the garage, the original one. And when we put in the new sand shed, we run conduit to it, but the box inside, the outside box were rotten. There's water coming down inside there, so that's all has to be all brand new. The wire has to be run from the out towards the road. There's a meter box out there. It's going to run wire, secondary wire, all the way to that building. So it's going to be a big costly adventure.
Additional comments or questions on Article 25?
I still contend, this is a storage building, I understand that. There's no real reason to have electricity in the storage building when you already have it on site.
Additional comments or questions on Article 25?
When I was road commissioner, and Scott and I were road commissioner, we both parked our loaders in there because at the beginning of the year, the building's full, you can't get your loaders inside, so we always parked our loaders in that building there, plugged in, and out of the weather elements.
Additional comments or questions on Article 25? Dennis?
They just don't do that anymore.
Because there's no power.
Additional comments or questions on Article 25? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 25 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Make your hands down, those opposed. Article 25 is passed as written. Article 26. See if the town will vote to establish a reserve account called the Peck Road Reserve Account and appropriate $130,500 to reconstruct and pave the portion of Peck Road from Milton Mills Road to the dirt. Any funds remaining in this account after the completion of the repair no later than 6/30/25 shall be returned to the unassigned fund balance. Select Board recommends approval of the articles written. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the articles written, except the motion failed, 0 to 6. Dennis, what's your motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 26 as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 26 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 26? Leslie?
I voted against this because there was information we didn't get. We asked for a mileage from, it states to the dirt. We asked for the mileage that was going to be paved. The answer we got back was a lot of verbiage, and we never got the mileage. So I voted no for that reason, and also giving them 2 years to finish the project.
Additional comments or questions? Charlie, you have a question?
To echo Leslie, all our RFPs for paving, there was one recently put out not too long ago, it all measures everything by foot, and yet to the dirt means nothing to me. It's just a really poorly worded article that needs to be done before it's sent to the town. I very much believe that we should do the maintenance and paving on the town roads that need it, but this just is too ambiguous for me to vote for it.
Additional comments or questions? Adam? Mary?
Paperwork I have here that I submitted, I don't know what happened. It's 3,485 feet of road that's going to be paved. We're going to reclaim it, do a 2-inch base and a 1-inch surface on it, and then do all shoulder road. We've been doing extensive culvert work on there now. We still have a fair amount to do because we half the road washed out. So we got that repaired temporarily until it gets paved. But this road is in very poor shape. It needs to get fixed.
Additional questions for Mary?
No, I just wanted to know, was the road commissioner that brought this article forward? The road commissioners or the selectmen?
The question, who brought the article forward?
So the road commissioner came to the select board, asked for a certain amount of money for this, but the select board, we did it as like a reserve, okay? What we're trying to do is trying to get it so that we looked at some other towns like Shapley and how they're doing their road accounts, and what they're doing is they're doing reserves so that their money keeps carrying over to a certain point, so they can, for that one project, so it's not getting scattered all over town. We figured this was a good way to be able to come to town meeting and say, okay, this road is getting done, here's the money. I'm the one who put forward the 2 years. I figured it'd be better to put a 2-year limit instead of 1 year. For the simple reason is, a couple of years ago, we had a hard time getting the pavement in. You know, if the guys go in there and they finally get in, they put a base in, but they can't get the overlay done until the next budget year. It doesn't, you know, affect the road commissioner all that much.
Additional comments or questions? Bill?
Yes, sir. Hearing the distance now has nothing to do with the fact of how that article is written, as I pointed out. And that's what we're voting on, as written.
Additional comments or questions on Article 26? Dennis?
One of my issues was the 2-year deal, because what this does is you'll get taxed for that $130,000 this year, and you might not be spending it until next year. And my thought was, if we're going to tax the people for a project that ought to be done the same year, that we allocate the money.
Additional comments or questions on Article 26?
Motion to amend this so that it has the road distance added to the article.
You could if you wanted to.
Adam, could you give us that number again?
3485.
3485.
So Bill, your amendment is what?
Amendment to add the footage.
To add the words, what?
3,485 feet.
Okay, we're trying to figure out where to put it in. So 3,000, what was it?
So the reconstruction page.
3,485.
Reconstruction page, from the beginning, 3,485 feet down.
From the Milton Mills Road, 3,485 feet.
To the dirt.
4,385 feet.
Whatever, so.
3,485.
Adam, come up here, please.
So we're proposing to add.
Is that 34?
So we're going to insert in the third line, Adam,
3,485
feet to the dirt.
to the dirt.
Bill, is that what your amendment's all about? Okay. Is there a second on the amendment? Been moved and seconded to amend Article 26 to add the words 3,485 feet after the word road in the third line. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the amendment. Any questions or comments on the proposed amendment? See none. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Okay, Article 26 has been amended to add the words 3,485, the number of 3,485 after the word road. Now we're going to vote or discuss the amended article. Anybody have any comments or questions on the amended article? Great.
I believe that the problem with a lot of the roads in Acton is those with the base. I see they're going to reconstruct this road, and my question is, what is the base going to be? Because I don't think that there's sufficient base, and if you don't do a sufficient base, then we're going to be going over the road problem over again and again and again, as we're doing with other roads. So is there an answer as to the amount of base that is going to be put on this road?
Adam, I guess this is yours. The question is the road reconstruction process.
On the top half of it, we're actually extending it a little bit on the dirt side, so we're going to be doing a better road base up there. When they reclaim it, they put all the hot top they reclaim goes right back as a base. So it adds a good base for the hot top. So less settling, less issues. And so and we're not just going to do a reclaimed base, there's also going to be a top on it. So it's going to have 3 inches of good pavement on it.
Additional comments or questions? Yes, sir. On Article 26.
Just a comment. Typically in road construction, you try to put like B, DOT grade gravel, spec gravel has been engineered, stuff like that. And then you put some 1.5 inches on top of that. And the road commission's thought about maybe, like he said, attacking the real base issue. That is the main problem. And putting the money into the gravel rather than the grinding, because the grinding really doesn't do anything.
Additional questions or comments?
It's only a couple inches on top.
No, it's not true.
We can absolutely start reconstructing roads in this town. The town has the money, it's $1 million a month to do it. Town of Lewis Pinty's got prices to do their roads with big companies to do it. It's just under $1 million a month. And we can start doing that, but it's a lot of money.
Mr. Moderator, can I make a comment? Yes. So I think when you're reading into this, when you say reconstruction, there's a difference between reconstruction and rehabbing. Okay? What he's doing is rehabbing the road. A reconstruction would be a complete box cut, okay, down to virgin ground and completely rebuild it.
That's what we did on Peck Road.
That's what we did. Yes, we did. We did have one section where we did that.
We did a box cut at 1 feet.
We did, because it was very, very bad. And I do suggest doing it at spots that.
And that fixed that spot.
But that spot there hadn't been done in the previous road commissioners when they rebuilt that whole road. They didn't do that point. That's why we did that. So I guess the best way to answer this question is, when you go in and grind a road, you're creating base. Okay? So when you're creating as a 16-inch base, okay, reclaim from the existing hot tops that's there. Now, if you have a poor base underneath the road's all misshaped, really, really bad like that section was, and then when we did that, because we knew that reclaiming that wasn't going to be the trick. So that's really the recommendation of the road commissioner, picking out spots, but we would not be able to redo that whole road, not for anywhere near the money. This is a rehab project more than anything.
Yeah, but we spend a lot of money on hot top, and then the roads fall apart. For example, the Harbor Road. There's many spots on the Harbor Road that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix that are falling apart today. And I'm not picking on Adam because he ain't the one who did the work. Well, not you completely. Bernie did the work. You did do the hill on the Harbor 3 times.
I did what?
The hill on the Harbor 3 times, ditched it. I did. I was on the project, Dave. Don't say you did.
We did.
But the problem is, this is what I'm getting at. When you take 3 inches.
Hold it. this is not, we're getting outside of the,
No, what I'm saying is, if you take 3 inches of hot top and grind it into loam, you got crap base.
okay, that's good, thank
That's
you.
all I'm saying. You should really attack it.
Are there additional comments or questions? Tom?
I was just gonna ask, what's the life of this when it's done? Does anyone know?
3 years.
He's not an expert, so don't.
Is there an estimated life?
Nobody can give an estimate on that, but you have to have an engineered road. And town of Acton cannot engineer every road in the town of Acton. You take the back road, for instance, it's a very low travel road. You know, this is putting a facelift on something, it should last us 20 to 30 years. So the last time I did it, probably 30 years ago, so you could literally go up there and slap some lipstick on that, call it good, but he's going to the extra stuff to do it, it should last a long time, so there's not very much traffic on that road. Thank you.
You're gonna go
I
this
make a
year.
motion to move the question.
So Charlie, you've already commented on this.
No, I didn't.
All right, we have a motion to limit debate, and the President Tuesday has been seconded. So all those in favor of limiting debate, please raise your cards. You can hands down those opposed. Limiting debate, we limited debate, so we're now going to vote on Article 26. The motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. As amended, thank you. So let's go back. You've already amended this. The motion is to adopt the article as amended. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 26 passes as amended. So now we're going to take a break, 15 minutes, and encourage everybody to go and buy some. And the 50-50 ration.
Out here in the back
Yeah, and I said you were from the planning board. You're on top of that. Yeah, it's been a while. And then it was just becoming the argument, Actually, less than that. I was a lot of summer days wrapping around.
anybody wants to buy 50/50 raffle tickets, they're back in that corner there. There's a young couple back there, they'll love to take your money. Okay, nice to winners.
Quarters have opened up.
The first 2 full-time nursing jobs, ones at night, anxiety, understaffed, too many patients that don't want to help themselves. The second job is getting these calls or videos, is like, taking
So where have they been?
Southern Maine Healthcare and Medical on the television, or med surge,
Right.
at night. And then, and she's just, there's very limited patient interaction.
Is that close to what she was looking for and found out that it wasn't what she wanted? Right. Because I'm saying that I'm thinking, now granted there's an awful lot of hiring, but then there's an awful lot of that to do so. So I'm not sure.
So right now, she is quick, and she's a pretty good job. Can't make it happen, but she starts next week.
Okay. Yeah.
Living there. I want to say it's on this side of the lake.
It's kind of like a push and pull. You need more of it. And money
Cindy, how are you?
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Time going.
Not too much truck traffic. It's awful. It's awful.
That was different 2008.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It is. I just, I don't get it.
He's going to save $700
It's a stupid little article, but it's an article that to appropriate $60,000 to hire an engineer to assess the transfer station for future building. Are you kidding me? And why is it $60,000? Did they get an estimate? They put it out for bid. And I know some of the people who are in favor of it are going to get really pissed.
I don't think I worry about buildings.
You know, if you add up all of these, if you add up this, say, okay, this is where we are this year. This is where we are so far this year. This is where we're going if we wrote everything in. We need to consider that. And a friend of mine came to the office the other day and was talking about rent. He has a lot of rents. He's a very conservative guy. And he said, my rent structure is changing. I said, how? He said, well, the basic monthly rent for the building, for the space, is $1,200 a month. But there's going to be a tax impact. So that if you vote for the people who are raising your taxes, taken down, it's going to be prorated. So, you can't do that. Yes, you can. Because my taxes, as I own the building, have gone up, so I'm going to now disperse that amongst the people who are renting from me. So, when you come whining back to me next year, saying, remember last year? Remember who you voted for? What did they do for you? What did they do for you or to you, to your tax money? Oh. You might want to get some of your friends to vote against them too. It's a very interesting concept. I don't know whether it's legal yet. I'm going to talk to my attorney, but I do want to know. Yep.
Wrapped up when I got the knee taken care of last fall. I hired you guys on pocket revenue.
Yep.
We don't need funds like that.
Why are we getting your funds? Going from 3 to 4 to 5.
Yeah, I don't even care about it.
It's just, that's just another. Just take and more money.
Well, not really.
Okay, let's get going here. Everybody grab your chair. Grab the food, grab your chair.
No, I won't.
Yeah, that would be bad. I don't want to hear.
So Chris Whitman is up here because he did not buy anything. He has no stake in this.
Could you imagine?
He's so literal.
All right, here's the winner, the 50-50 raffle. 4245779. All right. So the winner is 120 bucks. Is that right? Perfect.
When's the party?
So the other part goes to the Neighbor to Neighbor Fund, right? Thank you all for participating. Okay, we all set down, ready to go? Article 27, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $398,015 for wages and operation of the transfer station. Wages and taxes, $123,808, benefits, $36,000, operational expenses, $283,207. Select Board recommend approval of the articles written, warrant finance committee the same, approval. Dennis, what's your motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 27 as written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 27 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 27? Charlie, are you coming up? Yeah, okay. Charlie, Article 27.
This article is actually in excess by $36,000, according to the previous article regarding the benefits.
Because we moved.
Because you amended. So now you have benefits in both for the same amount.
Okay, this is a capped article, so we can reduce it, we can't increase it. Do you want to make an amendment, Charlie? No?
Excuse me. You can't amend it, it's not. The health benefits are in the transportation line. The health insurance line on the municipal budget does not include the transfer station benefits. It was just worded wrong in the article. Now we've amended the article, so everything is perfectly fine with these warrants.
We haven't amended this article, I think it's Charlie's point.
Correct.
This article
Don't
called.
need to. The money is in the transfer station health insurance.
So what we've done is we've taken the benefits and we put it into the actual departments where it's come out of, so that be more transparent for the taxpayer to know where, really what the money is being spent instead of having it coming out of the general government account. So each department will have those benefits already included.
Okay, so I'm not talking about a procedural question. When I see raise and appropriate $398,015, including $36,000, we already put it, you're saying we didn't really put it in another article?
We made an amendment to add the transfer station to the one to say they're not included.
Okay.
So that means it's included here, not there.
Okay, additional questions or comments other than mine? Charlie?
Yes. Once I find it. Benefits for all employees on Article 16, except those two. And then what you did was you included it in your amendment.
Included it in the exception. We included it in the exception.
Well, you included the exception?
We added,
Good enough.
we added it to the exception.
Good enough.
Any additional comments or questions on Article 27? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 27 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. And against, down, those opposed. Article 27 is adopted as written. Article 28. See if the town will vote to appropriate up to $60,000 from the unassigned fund balance to hire an engineer to assess the transfer station for future land and building improvements. The select board recommends approval of the article as written. The warrant finance committee recommends approval of the article as written on the 231, which means the motion failed. Dennis, do you have a motion on Article 28?
Make a motion that Article 28 approved as written.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the article as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 28?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. The question is, why are we, where did the $60,000 number come? How was that arrived at? Were there bids put out? Were there estimates provided to the selectmen? It seems like an excessive amount of money to check on the condition of the building of the transfer station.
Question on where the money came from.
So what we did is, we signed some sort of contract with our an engineering company. And I guess probably the way you're reading it, you might be skewed a little bit. It's not for assessment, it's for the actual engineering of the transfer station for, make it so we can get people off each road. We're trying to make it so it's more efficient, get more traffic in and out.
Additional comments or questions? Leslie, on Article 28.
Yeah, there is a proposal on the town website, and if you look at the proposal, it's a very narrow area in transfer station land that the assessment is going to take place. And rather than use the whole land that the transfer station owns, they just took a narrow sliver of it. So it's not all comprehensive as far as all the possibilities that might be. So that I voted no against for that reason, because of the narrow scope of the proposal.
The area that's included in the proposal, and that is just a proposal at this point, which was the basis for this warrant article, represents the area where traffic currently flows on site. The engineer has been engaged to study how to improve traffic flow for the transfer station. There's nothing, especially when we get the final contract, that would preclude the town from expanding the scope if the engineers find they want to go outside of that scope. In addition to doing that design, they are also, as part of that process, will make us refine and make a selection of exactly what option is best, we think, for the town. The engineer will be developing bid specifications and managing the bid process. So it's not just the design, it's actually taking us to a point where we could issue a contract in order to proceed with the work. The contract will not be issued, though, until we come back and secure additional funds from the townspeople. So there will be another step here.
Additional comments or questions on Article 28? Charlie?
Well, the proposal that you're talking about, Tom, actually says that the scope of the project as they are designing is limited to that narrow aperture as indicated in the proposal, which does not include the entire parcel. In order to do this project, we'll require a site plan as per land use ordinance. To do a site plan, you actually have to do a retracement boundary to establish the size of the parcel, which is approximately 16 acres. It's a calculated value, not a measured value, as per the way it's shown on the tax maps.
What I've stated is that's a proposal. The town, the selectmen have not yet engaged them to do the work on that basis.
So David had opened up his response by saying that you signed a project or a contract.
No, what it is, you took that out of, what it is we have certain individuals we use for certain things in town now. So what we've got is, we've got plumbers, we've got electricians, and now what we've done is we put a thing out so we have an engineer that we can call when we need it. So, if we want to get into a project like the rec field, transfer station, the town buildings, and all that, we have someone on our beck and call. So we've not signed anything to state that they're going to be doing this project, and also With the scope that they put forward, the scope they put forward is because when I met with Robin and the engineer, we talked about our whole goal was to maximize the area that's being used now. There's most of that area we cannot use because the EP won't let us touch it. So you can look at that whole parcel property, but where they've capped that landfill, we cannot touch those areas. So what we've done is we've limited them to the area that we've already using and a little bit on the higher side, relatively close to what we're using to maximize the flow of traffic. And that's why he put that down.
My comment is based on the exact language of that proposal. It limits the scope of their design work to that limited area as shown. That is what you're basing your $19,000 estimate on, $55,000 and change is what theirs is. And that, I have no problem with that. My objection to this, not so much this article, but to the proposal, if you're going to push forward on this or use them, is that you're hobbling any potential design options for the transfer station. Instead of having something that's going to go forward for the next 20 or 50 years, you're trying to narrow it down just for today's use.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions? Robin?
No, I have researched this with DEP.
Robin, get closer to the mic.
DEP has told me that this is the area you only can use. He's going to come in. Once we get into this process, I'm going to have DEP come down here with all his paperwork and that stuff to tell us what we can do and what we can't do. That is the reason why. That's the reason why.
Additional comments or questions? Joyce?
I believe what is on, by the way, I voted in favor of this. I believe what is online right now is a draft proposal. And I learned about draft proposals sort of the hard way this year, but it makes perfect sense. It's a draft. We have to start someplace. And the engineer, the company that the town did sign a contract to hire the services of an engineer. They did not sign a contract to go ahead and do this particular project. They looked at them and said, do this project, and they've got a draft now. Draft doesn't really include a whole lot of everything. The scope of work could be enlarged, and that's what they're going to do. We always hear about traffic going in and out of the dump. This is going to be a way of making that a much safer area, and I think we should approve it.
Additional comments or questions on Article 28? Mary?
I think 60,000 is a lot for someone's opinion of what we should do. Now, all the townspeople here, maybe not, have gone up to the transfer station and dumped their dump and recycled, whatever. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see why we have to spend 60,000. That's just to get somebody to write something on a piece of paper of what maybe we should do. Now, if you remember a few years ago, definitely maybe 5, we were saying maybe we could put lines down on the pavement to kind of help with the flow and do all this. Well, we never did. And it's still the same, and it's been the same, and does anybody really have a problem with it? I wouldn't vote for this for 60,000.
Additional comments or questions? Robin?
The only problem that we have up there is the traffic on the H Road. I am proposing with the selectmen to have some signs up there, so I'm going to try to do 2 lines. So you're going to have one next to the compactor and one on the outside. A lot of people just go and park wherever they want. Yes, and I agree, the line will help. But we have people up there that just park, when they go to recycling, they just park this way, that way. They don't do the right thing to get more people in there to get them off from H Road. The emergency vehicles, if we ever had an emergency up there, somebody's house is burning, we have miles of traffic on H Road. We got to do something either with H Road or inside the thing, and I took the bull by the horn to try to do what's inside.
Additional comments or questions? Mayor? Mary, why don't you go and then Bill? What's that, Mary?
No, I say we gotta do something with the road. If the road is the problem, get a turning lane or something.
Bill, you're up. Questions or comments on Article 28?
Bill Wozniak. I feel that most of the problem with our transfer station in town is inside the gates, not outside. We could address traffic flow outside as well, but most of the problem is inside. It's very inefficient when you all come in there and there's crisscrossing and we're switching from right-hand to left-hand traffic. It's dangerous. Now, we haven't had not too many incidents that I know of, but there's a big potential there for accidents, and then with more people coming in and out, it's just going to be a big mess. I would like to see right-hand traffic, basically a change to how we dump our trash so that you go in a circular fashion. You come in, you come in on the right, stay to the right, dump your trash, go around the back side of the station and either exit down below or come back around through the gate that's there. But I would like to see a circular amount of flow, and right behind the recycle building or on the side and beyond kind of where the freebies in the shed is where we should park to get rid of our recyclables. That way all the traffic goes in the same direction, much more efficient and much safer, less chance of backing into somebody or what have you. That's my feeling on this transfer station. So basically, yes, we need to do something, start somewhere to make a change, because our town's only growing, it's not getting smaller. So that's my feelings on it.
Additional comments or questions on Article 28? Robin?
To answer your question, my proposal is another whole new gate coming in like 30 feet down the road from that, so everybody's day comes in, because 90% of the people just throws trash. They don't recycle as much as they should be recycling. The town of Acton don't recycle as much as they should be recycling. So most of our traffic comes in on, you're right, inside the gate they crisscross. That's why I'm proposing another whole entrance about 30 feet down there. That will be just an entrance only. The one we're using now, for both, will be just an exit only. So you come in, go to the compactor, go to the what we call the mall, recycling, metal, and I'm going to have a ramp from the metal to go right out to that gate we're using now. So everything will be going in a circle. It'll be going the wrong circle, but it'll be different coming in.
Additional comments or questions? Jeanette, on Article 28.
I think the transfer station is a unique situation. What I do is, I don't get in a line to throw my rubbish in. It takes too long. People gotta fudge around with paper and dig. Get your rubbish out of your vehicle and throw it away. Don't talk to the guy behind you. And I walk across the parking lot and throw my stuff in. And I'm in and out of there in a flash. I don't think we should change anything by making circles. It's a great place. Leave it alone.
Additional comments? Mary?
So you want to pay $60,000 for something Robin Ham just fixed?
Additional comments or questions on Article 28?
Right here, Mr. Mulder.
Yes, Tom?
All great ideas. Point is, we're hiring a professional engineer to give us an assessment of what they think ought to be done down there. And they understand traffic flows and how that property can be designed to enhance that. I think it's pretty easy.
Additional comments or questions? Incidentally, just calling out, shouting from your seat, calling the question isn't going to get it. If you want to end debate, you got to come to the microphone and make a motion, okay? Go for it.
Question just came to my mind. We're talking $60,000 for an engineering firm to evaluate something for the transfer station. We're paying the same engineering firm $40,000 for recommendations on the rec field. We're paying, how much are we going to spend on engineering is my point.
That's the question. Roland wants to know how much we're going to spend on
I'd
it.
like to answer that. First of all, recommendations and design are different. Okay, we're not gonna have them recommend, we're gonna actually have them design, put a design together so we can put these RFPs out, so we can get bids on these. Right now, we can't get bids on any of these projects because, you know, who's gonna write the RFP? Me, Tom, Kim? No, probably not. We have to have somebody at least give us a design so that we can put these RFPs so we can get these bids in to do these projects. Right now, we don't have those, so we have to do this. And we really want it right. It's like the transfer station, you know, Robin, I'm gonna give Robin credit, but I helped him with some of that. You know, we went over what we should do here. But the problem is when you have ADA and all this other stuff that you gotta worry about, we wanna make sure everything's correct. So, you know, by having these engineers go up and design this, you know, especially with the entrance, you don't, you know, when he says he wants to put another entrance 30 feet from another entrance, probably not a good idea. Whether or not the engineer, because, you know, you want them further away, so you know, because of traffic and everything else. So at the end of the day, having an engineer design this, you know, you have a professional do this, make sure this is the right thing to do.
Additional questions or comments on Article 28? Joyce?
Call the question.
You can call the question. Is there a second on ending debate? Seconded to end debate on Article 28. All those in favor of ending debate, please raise your cards. And your hands down, those opposed. Okay, so we're going to vote. The motion on Article 28 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down, those opposed. Oop, I guess we're going to count this one. Put your hands down. Okay, so we're going to do standing, and put your cards down. Okay, so all of those in favor of adopting Article 28 as written, please stand.
You're all set, sir.
Okay, all those opposed to adopting Article 28 as written, please stand up.
Opposed?
So yes, 37, no, 31. Thank you. So Article 28 passes as written. Article 29. The town will vote to appropriate up to $10,000 in the unassigned fund balance for the purchase of 2 storage containers to be used at the transfer station. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article, and the motion failed 0-6. Is there a motion on Article 29? Dennis?
I make a motion to approve Article 29 as written.
So moved and seconded to adopt Article 29 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 29?
What generated this 0-6 vote for the Warrant Finance Committee? There was nothing in here. The $10,000 was for the 2 containers. There was no money in here for preparation of where the containers were going to sit. According to the later time after we took our vote, the Strand First Station manager said that they were going to put stone in Framingham to set them on, which we didn't have this information when we had our vote.
Additional comments or questions on Article 29? Yes.
Are they replacement containers or additional containers, Robert?
We have a container up there that we put TVs in, which some of the old TVs, two of us can't lift up over them stairs. That's gonna replace that one, plus I'm gonna have one that's just gonna be kind of a storage area for our important stuff that we don't have to have in the transfer station.
Additional comments or questions, Jill? No? Additional comments or questions on Article 29? Seeing none, the motion on Article 29 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 29 is adopted as written. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,210 for planning and development to be expended as the forester stipend. Select Board recommends approval. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval. Dennis, do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 30 as written.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 30 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 30? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 30 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 30 is adopted as written. Article 31, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for the cemetery committee for maintenance, placement of flags, markers, and repair of veterans' graves. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the article. Dennis, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 31 as written.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded to adopt Article 31 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 31? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 31 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 31 is adopted as written. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 to be placed in the cemetery capital account. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article, but it fails 4-2. Excuse me, it passes 4-2. Sorry. So the Warrant Finance Committee recommendation is 4-2 in favor. Dennis, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 32 as written.
Moved and seconded to adopt Article 32 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 32? Charlie, you coming up? Okay.
All right, everyone should know that all of these cemeteries are private property. They are not municipal property. And what we're doing is we're allocating public funds for a private purpose. The only obligation that we have as a municipality by statute is the maintenance of veterans' grave site, not the entire cemetery, not maintenance of the fences or anything else. In the statute, it actually spells out deliberately that it's for mowing lawns, picking up down trees, branches, and filling in depressed burial sites that are below 3 inches above the grave, or below the grave. That's it. It's not to rehab, remove trees. What we received in Warren Finance was a list of quite a few cemeteries where they want this $10,000 to remove trees in cemeteries. That is private property, not public property.
Additional comments or questions on Article 32? Yes, sir.
Yep, I'm Steve Burrell, I'm the chairman of the cemetery committee. There are over 80 cemeteries in town. A lot of them are private, they're owned by the families, the descendants of who's buried there. Some of them, there are about 9 cemeteries in town that the town is responsible. The family doesn't want them anymore, or whatever it might be. State law says that we have to maintain these cemeteries that have veterans in them. Are we supposed to ignore the rest of them that don't have veterans in them? All right, these trees that are in these cemeteries that we've taken down recently, you can drive by some of these cemeteries and not even see this cemetery anymore. I posted pictures on Facebook recently, not everybody's on Facebook. We fixed some cemetery headstones that were buried under the ground. 150 years ago, these people died. Right? A lot of you people that live here are descendants of these people. Would you want to be forgotten and ignored and have this kind of stuff? We are taking this money and taking care of these cemeteries that have been ignored for 100 years. right? We have to take care of the cemeteries by the state, but a lot of these cemeteries, as a committee, we are taking care of the cemeteries. I don't care if there's a dog and their owner buried there. I don't care if it's a veteran from the Revolutionary War. We're taking care of your people. I don't even live in town, all right? Half the people that are on the cemetery committee are not from Acton. There's not enough people in this town that want to take care of this sort of stuff. So we're stepping up and taking care of it.
Additional comments or questions? Jim?
Charlie, how many, with all your research, how many towns in the state of Maine have you reached out to see are doing the work that we're doing?
Now having a conversation here, Jim, make a statement. Okay, and then
well, there's at least a half dozen that I know of that are doing the same exact thing. We have the right, if there's a veteran in that cemetery, not only a veteran, but we can take care of the whole cemetery. The town of Lyman, this past their town meeting, there's a gentleman like, by the way, Steve's a 25-year veteran, combat veteran of the United States Marines, dedicating the amount of time he puts forward to preserve the integrity of everybody buried in every grave in this town. But, you know, Charlie's information it's good, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Now let me go back to the town of Lyman. Lyman has been doing what Steve, Kinney, and this board have been doing for years, okay? This guy's name is Steve Carpenter, another Marine. He brought forward, Lyman just voted on their town floor, the same exact thing we're asking for, $60,000. There is a law that says if a veteran is buried in a cemetery, we have 83, how many cemeteries are in town?
Roughly about 80.
Yeah, and there's Marines, Navy men, Air Force folks scattered in all of those cemeteries there. And there's a law that says what happened in a lot of these abandoned cemeteries were forgotten when the fires of 47 happened. So a lot of them sat still, trees growing, took over these little cemeteries. And it's $100 per cemetery per year for the work not being done. That's a state law. Now, in Acton's case, and Lyman's, when he brought before their people, theirs was over $350,000 of unaccountability not taking care of these cemeteries. In our situation, we'd be pushing $100,000. So what we're asking to do, $10,000, we have Steve, Kenny, for a lot of the stones that can be repaired, he's gone to school to learn how we're digging up stones that are 5 and 6 inches deep in the ground that have been buried for 100 years. And he's gone to school to repair these, put the time in, volunteering his time. Jay Carter on his committee, on our committee, went out and bought a stump grinder, very expensive, to take care of the stumps after we take the trees down. There are towns all throughout Maine that are living up to the accountability where we didn't take care of these, and it's nobody's fault. I mean, I was on this board here. It's my fault as much as it is anybody's. But the awareness is spreading through Maine. It is legal, and it's legal to take care of the whole cemetery. And we're not the first one here asking for this. Lyman just put forward $60,000 to do exactly what we are asking to do. To let these people be buried and lay in peace and integrity.
Additional comments or questions? I'm going back to Charlie. Then we'll go to Steve.
All right, just a full disclosure, I'm also a veteran, all right? And I'm not going to debate whether or not it's legal to actually do the maintenance or repairs in the cemetery, because it is. The issue that I bring up is the use of public funds for private property. All the descendants of these people who are buried, they've already taken out all the value of the land when they sold it, and they did not leave a trust or endowment for the maintenance of their predecessors who they sold. That they cared so much about, they want to leave that bill on your shoulders for you to take care of their descendants. They didn't want to do it, they took the money out themselves.
Additional comments or questions? I'm going to Tom.
I just want to say this is a fraction of the total cost that is going into the maintenance of cemeteries. It's all volunteer work. There's some subcontracting that I suspect is for $10,000, but there's a fair number of people that are actually volunteering their time. You heard someone buy a stump grinder on his own dime. The town is getting really quite a service due to the volunteer of these people.
Well, I want to thank you guys for what you do. This is an article that honestly, I'm actually surprised it's even being discussed, because this is a really a no-brainer. If we're going to start talking about whether or not we're working on private properties and stuff, you start looking down through some of the other articles and see where we're throwing money at. This is a no-brainer. We could be discussing other articles right now that, you know, that I would think would be more controversial. So I believe this should be voted on.
You have any more to say?
Yeah, it was the Army, by the way.
Katie's Marines.
Anytime we do work on a cemetery, I do talk to the property owner or the descendants or whatever. Because I've done work over at Renee's house and got permission to take those trees down, whatever it is. I'm not just going in there doing a slash and cut burn kind of deal. And yeah, maybe some people that have died, 100 years ago, they're not around anymore. But why are we ignoring them?
Exactly.
That's going to be us one day.
Additional comments or questions? Jim, you're up.
I just want to say the rest of the cemetery committee wanted to thank David, Tom, and Kim for moving this forward. Dennis, Warrant Finance, for your thoughtful questions. And I think Leslie Berlin said it during the hearings the best. She said, these are our ancestors. These are the people that were here before we were. Look at, if someone who owned the land didn't put in a trust to take care of these, that's on them. But we got to be better than that as a town. We got to be better and do what Lyman did and take care of these people.
Additional comments or questions? Steve?
Charlie does help out with cemeteries too. Just want to put that out there.
So I'm going to go with Ray. Ray, comments or questions on Article 32?
Yes, I voted no on Article 32. That was before some information was presented at a select meeting, which really made me change my mind. I would say at this point it would be a 5-1 vote.
Leslie, comments or questions on Article 32?
I just wanted to elaborate on, Jim, thank you for that. I also said at that Warrant Finance meeting that for me, this wasn't a legal issue, it was a moral one. And I feel we have a responsibility to take care of them, of the cemeteries.
Additional comments? Jim?
25 years ago, I would talk with a couple elderly ladies in their 70s, and we put the flags on all the cemeteries with my kids were children at that time. It was Catherine Long and Olive Treadwell. They were limited in what they could do, but they did the best they could. We have a committee now that is dedicated to make a difference. We have a stump grinder. These guys, they're out on Saturdays, 8 hours, cleaning stones, digging up stones, doing the right thing. That's all we're asking, you know? But in the memory of those two ladies that will matter to me, I think it's really important for this town to step up and do the right thing.
Additional comments or questions on Article 32? Thanks, Jim. Anybody? So the motion on Article 32 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 32 is adopted as written. Article 2.
I don't think Bill was in that, was he?
You're supposed to vote yes or no, not yes and no. All right, Article 33, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $93,811 for the following agencies.
I make a motion to waive the reading.
I'm not going to read these unless somebody wants me to. Okay, so the Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval of the article on a 5-1 vote. Dennis, is there a motion on Article 33?
I make a motion to approve Article 33 as written.
Second, the moved and seconded to adopt Article 33 as written. Are there questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I noticed that, in this list, there is one that was not added, as it has been in the past because we've given them money. That's the Sexual Assault Response Services, and I was just wondering why.
Everybody that requested money is in here.
Okay.
Nobody was.
Right, well, I'm just wanting to know why. They didn't request any money.
They didn't request it.
Okay. Works for me, thank you.
Additional comments or questions on Article 33? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 33 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 33 is adopted as written. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $12,350 for dam expenditures, which includes the Mousom Watershed Dam Coalition annual maintenance fee of $6,600 and the Balch Lake Dam operator stipend of $5,750. Selectmen Board recommends approval. Warren Finance Committee also recommend approval. Is there a motion, Dennis?
Make a motion to approve Article 34 as written.
So moved and seconded to adopt Article 34 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 34? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 34 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 34 is adopted as written. Article 35. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $21,087 and appropriate an additional $27,000 from the fiscal year 23 franchise fee revenues for the wages and operational expenses of the Acton Public Access TV, and to carry over any unused funds to an APAT capital equipment fund. Wages and taxes $44,487, operational expenses $3,600. Select Board recommend approval. Warren Finance Committee also recommends approval. Is there a motion, Dennis?
I make a motion to approve Article 35 as written.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 35 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 35? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 35 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 35 is adopted as written. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $43,165 and appropriate $3,100 from revenues received for operation of the Recreation Department, and to carry forward any unexpended funds and excess revenues into the Recreation Capital Improvement Fund. And these as follows: wages and taxes $14,695, maintenance and repairs $7,920, miscellaneous program expenses $23,650. Select Board recommends approval. Warren Finance Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion, Dennis?
I make a motion to approve Article 36 as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded to, who's the second? It's not Elias. Okay, so the motion on Article 36 is to adopt the article as written. Are there any questions or comments on Article 36? Yes.
Does the $14,695 include the raise for our director? Yeah.
Additional comments or questions on Article 36? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 36 is adopted as written. Article 37, see if the town will vote to appropriate $40,000 from unassigned fund balance to purchase a shed and playground equipment for the recreation field. Select Board recommends approval. Warren Finance Committee recommends approval, but the motion failed. Is there a motion, Dennis?
I make a motion to approve Article 37 as written.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 37 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 37?
Comment, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
In the past, we gave the rec department $41,000 for a parking lot. None of that work has been done as of this time, a year later. The Warren Finance Committee asked what size playground they were going to put in. what they're gonna put in the playground and where they're gonna put it. And the same thing with the storage building, shed, I guess they call it in here. They wanted the storage. And we couldn't get an answer on what size it was, or where it was gonna go, or what the cost was. And we felt until we had that information, we couldn't recommend for something that we had no information on.
Additional comments or questions on Article 37? Tom? Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Hi, Kelly Collins, Fox Street Road. I want to just say a huge thank out to the Recreation Committee. They have done wonders for our children of this community, and this money that would give to them would help them expand on their recreational program and provide extra programs and initiations for this. The playground is a huge part of that for when the other kids are playing sports, to have the kids. A lot of us have donated odds and ends, and they really need a real playground there for the kids to be playing at while their siblings are doing sports. Thank you.
Additional comments or questions? Tom, what's your next?
Yes, when the money was appropriated, I believe last year for the rec field parking lot, it became clear to us that we really needed to engage an engineer to look at, the parking lot, how big should it be, where should it be, where should the playground be, and they have a need for storage down there, how big of a storage shed should we have, and where all of those could be placed. It's a fairly tight site, and so the engineer was going to take a look at this and give us recommendations as to how to place all of these and how much land to set aside. So that was the purpose of this engaging the engineer, and why the parking lot wasn't done last year.
Additional comments or questions on Article 37? Lori?
Hi, my name is Lori Streeter, and I live on the Milton Mills Road. I am several generations from this town, and now I am raising grandchildren in this town, and there's nothing for our kids except for this rec department and the rec field. I really feel that we should pass this for our children. There's nothing in town for them to do. So I would personally like to see that we pass this.
Additional comments or questions on Article 37? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you're talking about bringing an engineer in. I don't see any fees for the engineer.
They're already working on it.
But where did the money come from for the engineer?
From last year.
From last year's 40,000. So don't we need to add in the warrant to add the 40,000 to appropriate the 40,000 that is going back into our capital improvement fund to work on the parking lot? What?
You just ordered to roll it over.
Already rolled over.
How does it get rolled over?
From the first couple
But it's not appropriated for this year. So it doesn't need a warrant on today?
No, not until we're ready to spend it. This money, if the town is guaranteed, if the town will go to appropriate, they're just adding to the account for that.
Okay,
Put the
so,
money aside for the projects, what we're doing.
well, the money went back, it should have, because of last year's warrant, should have gone back into our capital improvement fund. All right, so that 40,000 should have gone into the capital improvement fund, but we don't need another warrant to be able to use that 40,000 next year to do the parking lot also, just like you added an extra year to Peck Road. Why would this be different?
If you're looking at Article 37, it says the city of town will go to appropriate 40,000.
That's 40, right, 40,000, you're talking 40,000 for the playground and 40,000 to include the playground and the building. not the 40,000 that we appropriated, that we raised last year.
Right, if they decide to appropriate it, then they will have, they'll do it at a special town meeting.
Additional comments or questions on Article 37?
Yeah, I just wondered what size building and what they are putting for playground equipment exactly.
Does anybody know the size of building? No, don't know yet. Additional comments and questions on Article 37?
I'm Sam, the rec director. Just to kind of answer some of those questions, we don't have a size set yet. It was to give us the funds to be able to pursue those. We've gotten some estimates for various sizes. We used to use the old gym as our storage, but given the nature of the old gym, we can't really keep everything there. Because every time we put our uniforms back in there, they get that musty, moldy smells to them. Everything kind of absorbs all of that moisture. So we needed to do something with that. And then a playground would be just to kind of piecemeal it together over the year. So it's not something that would be 100% done right here and now unless we had a $200,000 budget to be playing with for just a playground. So it would be a piecemeal process. And that's something that the selectmen and that would be working with us on.
Additional comments or questions on Article 37?
Can we add in to be able to appropriate the money to do the parking lot? Because the parking lot needs to come before the playground and, so why can't we add into this warrant?
No, you cannot increase it. This is what's called a cap article. So I'll give you a procedural question.
So can we add another?
Not today you can't.
Okay.
Because people have been given notice, and there's a whole scope issue. So that's it for a future, either special town meeting or next year's town meeting. So you can decrease the amount today, you can't increase it. Yeah.
They'll have a special town meeting within 2.5 weeks, so we'll address it.
Okay.
Additional comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question on all of these engineering fees. Is the town using the same engineer every single time?
That's what the plan is right now.
Well, I would question why that would be, and also question that we turn our roads over to the road commissioners and we trust them to do the jobs. Why? Because we trust their experience and expertise. Why would we not be engaging them to at least get started with some plans to save the town some money, instead of calling in an engineer and starting from complete scratch and spending all that additional money to simply, we want lines. Well, that's easy enough for all of us to collectively come up with, especially with the expertise of the road people. So why are we paying so much from engineers starting right from scratch?
The problem is where's the expertise? The road commissioners or even I don't have the expertise to design a playground or all that stuff. So that's where it comes in. It's not just the parking lot. Anybody can slap some gravel down and call it good.
Yeah.
The problem, one of the problems we have is the road commissioners may not be doing the project.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, but collectively pay them to get started. The cost of an engineer is much more expensive, and they do have expertise. How can you pave road for several years and not have?
Well, it's different. As a road commissioner, your job is to go out and maintain roads, okay? Patching, having somebody grind them, whatever, okay? Building parking lots and designing playgrounds and maximizing an area, having to deal with DEP, all that stuff. Unless they're actually doing the job through the town of Acton, which they're not, what we're doing is we're bidding those projects out. So to make it fair, we couldn't have them do that in the first place, and their expertise, I don't believe, is in that.
But I'm just talking your basic starting ground for people within the town that want to contribute and that do have the expertise just to get started to cut down some costs.
Who says their
You could call the biggest contractor in the state and have them come out to bid the job, and they're certainly experts.
Yeah, but I've been on jobs every day, okay? But I'm gonna come and look at a job and be completely different from the next guy. We don't all think the same. Everybody does a job different. So the problem we have is if we want to turn around and have people come in and do these jobs, somebody's gonna write an RFP. Someone has to have a design that we can send out to get these people to bid on these jobs. Without doing that, we could definitely have the road commissioners just go slap in a parking lot, whether or not.
No, I'm not talking about any shoddy work.
Wait, we're having a conversation here. Okay, it's very nice, but But
Yeah.
it's getting to be repetitive too.
Right, I think so too.
Okay. All right, thank you. Additional comments or questions? Dennis?
Mr. Moderator, first off, this is no reflection on the rec committee, whether or not the Warren Finance Committee supports what the rec does. There's very few people in this town that has done more for the rec than I have. I've always supported the rec, and I do in this. And one thing that I do have experience in is building a playground. I was in charge of building the one that is here at the school. Before the town meeting and the school department at the time would move forward with a recommendation of the, at that time, playground committee, they wanted to know what was going to be in it, what the size was, and what the cost was. And I also was in charge when we built the storage garage out here. And it was the same thing. The school committee and the townspeople wanted to know what the purpose was, what the size was, and where was it going to go, and what the cost. All the Warren Finance Committee was asking was, where are you going to put the playground? What are you going to put in it? What's the cost? And the same thing with the storage building. As a Warren Finance Committee, honestly, that's our job to ask these questions. And sometimes things turn in a little different than what the intent is. And the Warren Finance Committee is all for a playground. It's all for a storage building. But what are we paying for? That's the $100,000 question. And we already put, like I said earlier, $41,000 for a parking lot. Okay, now we're going to carry that balance forward, but we're not going to appropriate the money. So that means as of July 1st, unless we have another town meeting, which I'm talking about having another one in June, we're going to have to reappropriate this money. So we give them 41, now we'll give them another 40. This town has put so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in accounts that just sit there. And it doesn't make any sense. It's your money. We've got so much money now, they don't even know what the devil to do with it all. And I've been saying this for years, and I've been told I was wrong, but obviously I wasn't wrong. It's all about the finances, and we're just spending money because we have it. With no plan, it makes no sense to me.
Additional comments or questions?
Move the question,
please.
Let's move the question.
The motion is to end the date. Is there a second? Second. So this requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of ending the date or moving the question, please raise your cards. If you can't now move the vote. Motion to end the date passes. We're now going to vote on the motion on Article 37 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the article, please raise your cards. Hands down, those opposed. We're close enough to count it. Yeah, let's count it. So let's do the same as we've been doing. All those in favor of the motion to adopt Article 37 as written, please stand. Please sit. All those opposed to, 60. All those opposed, please stand. All those opposed to the motion. So 37 yeses, 29 noes. Article 37 passes as written. Article 38, see if the town will vote to appropriate all the funds received from the state from snowmobile registration revenue to local snowmobile clubs for maintaining their snowmobile trails on the condition that these trails are open to the public for outdoor recreation purposes at no charge. Motion from the selectmen is to adopt the article as written. Warrant Finance Committee agrees to adopt the article as written. Is there a motion, Dennis?
Make motion to approve Article 38 as written.
Moved and seconded to adopt Article 38 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 38? Yes.
So what happens to the funds previous?
You gotta get closer to the mic.
Sorry. So what happens to the funds previous to this article?
Say, every year. Every year this happens.
So this is a repeat of what's going on because.
Yeah, so it comes in, every year we do this.
No, it's very, I read it, it sounds like this is something new, but
No.
obviously it's not.
Every year. Money comes in from state registrations, right? Okay, additional questions or comments on Article 38? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 38 as written. Please raise your card if you're in favor of the motion. Hands down, those opposed. Article 38 is passed as written. Article 39, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 for the unassigned fund balance to do road assessment work. Select Board recommends approval of the article. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article as written. On a 2 to 4 vote, the motion failed. Dennis, is there a motion?
Make motion to approve Article 39 as written.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 39 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 39? Yes, sir.
I got a couple. One, I think this is a good idea for the most part, but I don't think it covers really what needs to be covered. Right, it doesn't, this isn't going after anything to do with the actual issue enacting with the road base and stuff like that. Second, the road committee has already done this assessment with our RSMS program, and for $20,000, we already got it on the program.
Additional questions or comments on Article 39? Nancy?
Is this going to be a database that the road commissioners can add to as work is completed?
Question on what this consists of? What's that? Oh.
That's not what this is.
They don't have any data.
Tom, can you answer the question?
I believe they've indicated that they will be entering the data. Is that correct, road commissioners? No, I understand. You know, over the coming year, the last year, and probably the next year, we will spend $2 million approximately on roads. This is 1% to make sure that we're doing the right road in the right way. Excuse me, 1%. We're spending 1% a professional engineer to really do an assessment on the roads. The RMS, whatever it is, the road committee has done some great work on that, but these are not professional road people or engineers. This work is going to be done by people that do this for many towns, where they'll come in and they'll assess the condition of the roads, they'll give us an indication of what repairs should be done to those roads, exactly how to maintain them. So personally, I think on a $2 million spend, it's going to impact us for the next 3 to 5 years. I think 1% or less is a very reasonable sum.
Additional comments or questions? I'm going to go to Charlie and then back to the side. Charlie?
As far as having a professional engineer do this, this is technician level work. This does not require a professional engineer's license to do this. The state of Maine has technicians doing this day in and day out. They're not engineers, they're technicians. So all the work that the road committee has already done is available. Just have to use it, and so far it hasn't been used.
Additional comments or questions? Nancy?
That didn't quite answer my question as to whether it created a database that could be built upon so that we could have a historic record of what work has been done and when?
No, this doesn't do that. What this will do is.
No, I realize, I'm just asking, does it create a base that can be added to so that we can create a record of work that has been done?
So the answer, Nancy, is yes. Yes up here.
This, I assume, is going to create a
That'll give you a
baseline.
history, that you plug in data. That'll plug in, you plug in data as you work. Okay, that'll give you a history of what you've done. What we're asking to do here is we're asking to do an assessment of all the roads that will prioritize each road from a color code or whatever for the next so many years of what roads should be being worked on first, that are priority, and which ones aren't. And on those priorities, what will end up happening is they're going to tell us what we should be doing to fix them. Now, at first, I was against this. As being an ex-road commissioner, I did not want anybody telling me how to do my job. But the problem is, we talk about the RSMS every year. The RSMS has been going on since 2009. Nothing has been done. We're spinning our wheels. We're finally going to get to a point where, you know, we have all these people who are going out there and doing these assessments, you know, who don't do road work, don't have any idea what they're looking at. And I'm not trying to tell anybody, you know, that whatever. But at the end of the day, we're tired of spinning our wheels. So by doing this, we're having some, this is what they do for a job. Now, we try to go into the state, they won't get back to us. Okay, we've given them many, many opportunities. So at some point in time, instead of sitting here doing, you know, spinning our wheels, get some traction, let's roll on and get something done. And make it easier for the road commission. I think it makes it easier for them. Because now when we come to town meeting, we have an assessment that says, this road sucks, this one's really bad, and this one needs this. And then those guys should be able to say, hey, guess what? This is what it's going to cost. This is my 5-year plan. Instead of spinning our wheels with RSMS, which is completely ridiculous, because it's changed 14 different times. It's ridiculous.
I understand that. Is this going to create a database so that work that we do can be kept track of?
Use your RSMS for that.
Ongoing. No, I mean, this money that we're expending on this.
You could, whatever work gets done, you could plug it into that system, in the RSMS, if you call it. But you have to have somebody to do that.
Additional comments and questions. We're going to go.
Maybe it went the long way around, I guess.
We're going to go with Cindy Hart, and then we're going to come back here. I see a road commissioner up here, so you want to hear from him. Go ahead, Cindy.
The data from RSMS is used in 125 towns in the state of Maine. The road committee has put together the information for it and redone it now 3 times, because once it gets to your office, it just grinds to a halt. We can give you the information.
No, I just want to say something quick. It runs to a halt. Who is responsible, this is all I'm going to say, who is responsible for entering that information into that system?
Well, the road commissioner, we would know what was going to be done by your plan. The road commissioners
Right.
would communicate with.
And we
if
talked to
where it
them
should
about
be.
it.
The biggest problem is it should be in planning. It should not be upstairs, because this is also used for our mapping.
You mean like that?
When we do something, this goes to the state for the mapping. I would rather be with 125 towns that have a good program and just learn to work it. And we perhaps have one person in the office in charge of it. That's how it works, but I mean, you're wasting 20,000.
You're going to waste $50,000 on somebody to take care of that program.
Pardon?
You're going to have to hire somebody to take care of that program.
I think you have people in there that could do it.
We are
You just
stretched
have it
right
on the
now.
wrong-
We're getting into a debate here.
You have it on the wrong floor.
Okay. Wait a minute.
In all fairness, as town administrator, I sat with the chair of the road committee, and we entered all of that to get it completely up to date. Every single piece of information at the road committee, I personally entered into that system. It has been turned over to the 2 road commissioners to start maintaining it weekly. So don't say that it's on the wrong floor, the work is done.
Okay, so we're going to go here.
I got 2 issues.
Okay.
One, like I said before, I don't think this $20,000 goes into it deep enough. I am for getting an engineer to look at it. I don't think the $20,000 is even gonna cut the deals. You're doing no core samples, you're not addressing anything to do with road bases. They're doing pretty much what the RSMS program is. What we've done is looking at cracks, stuff like that, and shoulders, and that's what the road commission is apparently doing. Two, I lost my train of thought.
You can take a break and we'll go to Charlie, while you think about it.
Okay.
Charlie, you're up.
I did construction management project design work when I was in the service. So I'm telling you right now, the road committee, the road commissioners, they're all quite capable of doing this work. Regarding the question about whether or not this creates a database, the proposal that the town fathers here published does not give anything beyond a one-day snapshot of what's going on. There is no XLS file, there's no database file, it's just a one-time shot of what's going on. If you then want to put it into RSMS or whatever program you choose, you're going to have to manually enter and translate that data. And we all know what happens with translations, okay? You don't need to do core samples unless this was a really high-load area. This is not in this town anyway. We're not building airports or runways. You can tell from a visual inspection that's all you're planning on doing is just a visual inspection. It's the same thing that the state has already done and the road committee has already done. You can tell from a visual inspection pretty much what's causing the failure of the road to be able to actually go and figure out, is it sub-base, not base, but sub-base that you have to improve? And then does it need a new base and a new surface coat? Do the shoulders need to be reinforced so you're not losing your shoulders all the time? Is it because the roads are being overloaded? These are all things that you can tell for the most part by just a visual inspection without the huge cost of core sample. The question, I'm going to paraphrase or summarize this. No, there's no database. It's a one-time PDF file of what's going on. No XLS, no database. And number two, you have talent in town that is more than capable of doing this.
Additional comments or questions? Your second
Make it
question.
easy for the road commissioners to enter this information in the RSMS program. The road committee said probably a year ago almost, the town should be buying these guys tablets so they can upload it without having to go into the town hall and putting the strain on the office staff and stuff like that. If these guys can only get in there one day a week or trying to work it in with the schedule, it don't work. Where normal in the construction world, everything's uploaded off tablets.
Will, comments or questions on Article 39?
Yeah, I feel as if we're gonna spend the money on this, we should pick the road, have them engineer, have them look at the road and give it RSMS, or have RSMS, one or the other. Now we're gonna have a piece of paper, everybody's gonna hold us to it, so, and then we're gonna put entries in, either or, whatever it is.
Guess the question is, Will, do you feel the RSMS is a good idea?
I think like we talked about history-wise, but yeah, I'm not gonna say, you can put things like us, yeah, we have been putting the entries in that we should, but, I think if we could,
I'm just saying.
I think if we could maintain it, then yeah, I think it could work out, but like I said, now we have to put everything back.
We're putting this article forward because we were under the assumption that you haven't been doing the RSMS, that the town comes to us saying, where's your road plan, where's your this, where's your that. So we're putting this forward to you guys so that you can do your 5-year plan. Now, do you, as a road commissioner, would you rather do the RSMS or would you like to have, because really this affects you more than anybody here.
Well, I feel like when we talked about it, I feel like you guys were gonna do it either way, I feel like it was gonna happen either way when we talked about it. I mean, I'll put both in, if you wanna do that, I'll put both in, but like, have I been in there regularly to do it? No, I have not been, but I will do it. So, I mean.
Just people keep, asking us. I mean,
Yeah, right.
is it too much for you?
Well, no, it's not too much, I just gotta get 5 minutes and go down there and put it in, I have all my stuff, I just go put it in. Me and Adam did go in there one day, probably a couple months ago, and we did put it in. But we just have to get on a regular basis and go.
Are you using the RSMS right now?
No,
to do
there's
your
nothing
road
in there,
plan?
we had to redo everything, everything that we had to do, we had to redo, Leslie and Jen did it. So we had to start from scratch again, so now it's up to me and Adam to go in there, we have everything we have, and then build off of that.
Is that too much?
No, we just have to go in, and we could just, like Denny said, we said this 5 years ago, give us something we can do at home, and we just upload it into the thing, I mean, instead of going to the town hall and doing whatever, I mean, I know everybody's busy, I think that's what we need to do. If we had a little bit easier way to go just doing it every week, I think we'd be all right. That's been my opinion for a couple of years now.
Additional comments or questions? Ray, on Article 39.
Well, I got an amendment to this article. Instead of spending the $20,000 to hire an engineering firm, why don't we spend that money in order to give the road commissioners a way to access or input the data on a on-time basis?
All right, so the question now is it germane or have you changed the article?
I'm making an amendment, I'm making a suggestion to amend the article.
What's your suggested amendment? And I'm going to rule as whether it's germane or not.
Whether we can get the road commissioners equipment so they can enter the data into the database instead of having to go to the town hall and enter it at that point in time. So it'll be a more of a live.
So you're switching from doing road assessment work to what, buying 2 laptops?
Yeah, it's a completely different article.
Yeah, I guess so.
I get more.
Wait a minute, Will. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah.
Buying 2 laptops, that's your proposed amendment?
Whatever it takes.
No, not whatever, you gotta tell me what the amendment is.
Say yes, getting a couple laptops.
I had this up.
Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Okay, I'm saying that it's not germane. It's too much of a change. This idea of road assessment work doesn't morph into 2 laptops without some more specific discussion.
It's the same information, though.
I understand that.
We're looking to spend $20,000 to pay an engineer to tell us the data that they are.
Ray, then here's what you do. You vote against this, and we go back to the drawing boards. That's what the option is here. 2 laptops, in my opinion. Now, there's a way to overturn this. You can challenge the moderator. Now, I'm not the king up here. You are.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to explain to Ray that these road commissioners, both road commissioners, in their budget can buy a laptop if they feel like it.
We have laptops.
And we have laptops.
But I've raised.
All right, let's go to Will.
I've raised the question before, it's like on Monday mornings, we have to have our time sheet.
Yeah.
Why can't I just go in then, in there, and just do it, just go, there's another computer in the corner, I could probably do, nobody's there, I'll be by my, I can just go in there, do it, and then it's done every week. I've said that before.
What was the response when you brought that up?
I don't
The
even-
response, we did it once or twice, we would show you how you were doing it, what we're doing, and now.
I don't even know, I don't even remember when we brought it up, it was a
Yeah,
while.
I mean, we've had this discussion, and the discussion was.
If that's the case, then,
Second time, we can do it together, so.
well, that's, what I think when we did it, when we did it the first time, I think, me and Adam figured it out pretty good, I think, between both of us.
Mr. Moderator.
Okay, all right, hang on. Yes.
There have been a couple of times that at a selectment meeting I have inquired has that data been inputted into the system?
Yeah.
And at both those times that I inquired, the answer was no, because he didn't have access to at the time they were going. So I have brought up this issue to the selectmen before, and I don't see the spending of more money, of taxpayer money, and it's really up to the people whether they want to do this. So I do challenge you on this aspect.
Okay, so what would you do? So you're challenging the moderator's ruling that that is
Germane.
germane. I'm saying it's not, and what would you propose?
I already made my proposal.
Which is what, buy 2 laptops?
Or they're saying that they have laptops. Why not use the laptops, the equipment that is available for the road commissioner to do this work?
Okay, that's not a specific enough amendment, so.
How is it not specific?
Well, make it specific so we have a proposal, Article 39. What would you put, what words would you change to make it specific? You're saying to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 from the unassigned fund balance to purchase 2 laptops for the road commissioners?
Correct.
Okay, that's specific. But you're challenging that, which is fine. So now we're going to go, the motion would be exactly as I say, Article 30 now becomes to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 from the unassigned fund balance to purchase 2 laptops, 1 for each road commissioner. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so that's the motion before us at this point. All those, so we're going to vote on it. Everybody ready? I don't think we need a second.
Yeah, we need a second.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards.
Can you read the motion again?
Yes, I can. To see if this is Article 39. to see if the town will vote to appropriate $20,000 from the unassigned fund balance to purchase 2 laptop computers, 1 for each road commissioner. All right, is that, Daniel, is that, you understand what that what the motion is, okay? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you, hands down those opposed. All right, we're back to Article 39, as it's written here in front of us. And so we have other, Judy's first.
Here's an idea. It doesn't say on there that it's for an engineer. It doesn't say what it's for. So we all agree that something needs to be done. So why don't we just approve the article for $20,000 and let the selectmen and the road commissioners decide how that should get spent?
Okay, now we're going to go to Daniel. Daniel, you're up.
So we're voting on whether we're going to appropriate $20,000. I don't want to put words in Mr. Williams' mouth, but I think he just said that he could do the work with the proper equipment. So we're voting on this question, and I don't see the need to spend $20,000. We just heard road commissioners say that we don't. They can do the work with the proper equipment. Yeah, exactly. So we're voting on this question, $20,000 for this assessment. I personally don't. If the road commission just says they can do the work, I don't see why we need to vote on $20,000.
Additional comments or questions?
So,
Please.
I guess the confusion is this. We all know what the RSMS does. Okay, you do work, you plug it in, eventually it'll tell you what roads are working eventually. Okay, right now, with the stuff that's in the computer right now, it doesn't, does it? Okay. What we're trying to accomplish here is to give the town of Acton a 5-year plan. And by doing that, this prioritizes. Okay, right now, the RSMS is not doing that. So, I guess this is the way to look at it. We can either go forward with this to get a plan ahead, or we can keep spinning our wheels with the RSMS.
Please, comments or questions on Article 39?
Mr. McCurdy mentioned it's 1% of the next 2 years' road budget. You know, this is something I've wanted to do in the past. Let's go for it, assess it correctly, and move the question.
Okay. So the motion was released to move the question. Has it been seconded?
Yeah.
Moved and seconded to end debate. All those in favor, it takes a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of ending debate, raise your cards. Thank you, hands down. Those opposed. Okay, debate is ended. The motion on Article 39 is to adopt the articles written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you, hands down. Those opposed. Okay. We're going to count it. 39, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please Everybody seated. All those opposed to adopting Article 39, please stand up. Okay, so by 39 to 26, the motion passes. Article 39 is adopted as written. Article 40, to see if the town will appropriate $25,530 from the American Rescue Plan Act funds to be placed in the West Shore Drive Bridge and Culvert Capital Improvement Fund. Select Board recommends approval. The Warrant and Finance Committee also recommends approval. Dennis, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve Article 40 as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt Article 40 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 40? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 40 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Make your hands down. Those opposed. Article 40 is adopted as written. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to approve $75,000 from the town's unassigned fund balance to be placed in the school's capital repairs reserve fund. Select Board recommends approval. Warrant Finance Committee also recommends approval. Is there a motion on Article 41?
I make a motion to approve Article 41 as written.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 41 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 41?
Is this just to increase the fund? Are there any specific repairs that this is going for?
It is replenishing the fund after doing roof work, so it's to bring it back to its previous.
Additional comments or questions on Article 41? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 41 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. If you can't stand those opposed, Article 41 is adopted as written. Now there's a note on your warrant. At the conclusion of this town meeting, we will be recessed. So Tuesday, June 13, 2023, at which time the polls will be open at 8 a.m. and remain open until 8 p.m. on the following two articles: to elect people and to elect school committee members.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we recess to Tuesday, June 13th, 2023, at 8 a.m.
8 a.m. It's been moved and seconded to recess this meeting until June 13, 2023 at 8 a.m. All in favor of the motion? Those opposed? Thank you, been a wonderful audience.